Come in. Do you read me? Hello, everybody, and my God, it sure is a pleasure to see you all here. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. Fulgur Ovid here, or should I say, Legatus of Division 505. And today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. It is a pleasure to see you all, and I hope you are excited for this one. Today is going to be a little bit different from what we've done before. I hope you enjoy it. Please do tell me how the music goes. If you didn't know, we're going to be reading my story, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Hopefully it won't be too creepy. Hopefully it won't be too scary. What I will say is it is going to get very dark. I've included some basic trigger warnings for the chapters, but I'm not sure that I got them all. And just in general, this is definitely like beyond a PG-13 kind of scenario. So we're going to do what we can to keep everything comfy and make sure that if any of the trigger warnings at the beginning of the chapters scare you, you go ahead and head out. Maybe putting them on screen while we're live is actually a good idea now that I think about it. But how about we move down to my desktop and get started on this. Welcome everyone to my desktop. Today, we're hopefully going to be reading Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Chapter 1 is more of a prequel than anything else, not too long. Chapter 2 should take quite a while, and between each chapter we'll have a little fun. Edgy stuff's my thing? Oh, then you're gonna fucking love me. So, with that said, are you guys ready for Chapter 1? I need your consent. Come on, hit me with it. Do what you got. Give me what you got. Yes, this voice, I can't. If you can't with this voice, things are going to get weirder from here on out, so feel free to leave. Don't worry about it whatsoever. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of people saying they're ready. Here we go. Chapter 1, The Corpse of Steel. Content warnings, gore, abuse, physical and emotional, kidnapping-ish, and death. Now, this wouldn't be so bad if we were playing a video game, but seeing as I've written this, the BGM's still kind of loud, thank you for telling me. Seeing as I've written this, I felt like these were important to keep here. So I'm actually just gonna copy these real quick, make a quick text file, and keep these on hand, even though they'll disappear when I zoom in and do certain other things. 1 second. Text create new. R for Russo 1, my favorite. Wow, that's so big. Size way smaller. Maybe 20? Maybe 24. I should have prepared this beforehand. This is my bad. Oh, that's not quite cool enough, is it? Let's give it a background, an outline, make it nice and thick, make it black. But yeah, this is also giving you guys time to disappear if those content warnings are a bit too much. Maybe pin it on chat. That's a good idea too. That should be good. And we'll just make it a bit bigger. Somehow. Properties. It's a shame it doesn't size it live, so you can't really see what it's going to look like. Just go 48. Sure, we'll go with that. It's kind of in the way, but it's fine. Copy, paste into chat, and pin. Okay, message pinned. With that said, you've had enough time to leave if you don't want to stay. We're going to dive into this story. Keep in mind, this is all a fiction. If you ever get too uncomfy, feel free to leave. I hope you enjoy your stay, but I do not want to make you uncomfortable. This is not a story for the light of heart. So, Chapter 1, The Corpse of Steel. The steel corpse stood defiantly on the outskirts of the city. Husks of vegetation rooted its base to the earth, having once desperately climbed the giant in search of the heavens. The closer to the summit the vines and branches clung, the more signs of radiation burn and cancerous mutations their own fossils displayed. Little of the building's rudimentary block design remained at the ground floor. Bulbous organic material, itself more charcoal than life at this point, gave the steel skeleton its only flesh that hadn't rotted away. The cement, plaster, and undoubtedly asbestos that once attached to the bones had long since burned, crumbled, and otherwise decayed into the hazmat below. Further up the building, its blocky cement design was more apparent, its form in life more recognizable. I blink a few times, looking over the crime scene before me. Cold grey eyes adjust and shift perspectives, but no matter how I look, it's still horrific. A long sigh escapes my lips as I can bear it no longer. Similarly rooted to the spot, I allow my gaze to fall to the ground right in front of me. The remains of two young men lay in heaps on the pavement. Seeing the sheer amount of mess and how it's formed Rorschach patterns in such a wide radius, it's clear they'd been high up in that metal corpse. One looks like a fluffy sheep to me. No idea what a psychologist would glean from that observation. I close my eyes for half a second before reopening them, and the mess before me turns instead to a colorful art piece. Lumps of meat and fruit have been placed on the ground, and poured over them all is a rich purple wine that looks all too enticing to one as thirsty as me. Were it not for the telltale pulse and shimmer of the image, I might question which sight was reality. Oh, don't worry, dear listener. We aren't opening up that can of worms. Imagery relating to Dante's Inferno is cliché enough, but you won't find me ever struggling to separate fact from fiction. Sure, we all tell ourselves little lies to make it through the day with our sanity intact, but putting a family-friendly spin on a murder scene is just another way to keep the masses calm. And if I happen to use it to preserve the monetization of this content, well, who's the victim? Other than the perishables spoiling all around me, of course. Among the food on the ground are the remains of circuitry and metal casings. Even in this disorder, it's easy to deduce their former use. Cracked screens stuffed snugly into synthetic sheets make it all too clear. Whoever these kids were, and whatever led them to become spilt groceries, they would have once looked no different to the destitute masses stagnating the outskirts of the Republic. Total bodysuits, or TB suits like these, were one of the many ways that humanity managed to survive in the modern ecosystem. A hefty backpack contained all the apparatus for filtering air, purifying waste fluids, and powering the screens and sound devices needed to view the Duoverse. Meanwhile, an almost skin-tight film surrounded the entire body, protecting the wearer from radiation and other pollutants. For the most part. It was outdated technology, functional but uncomfortable. Even the lower-class citizens of the Republic could usually afford more discreet methods. Implants in the throat for filtration and tissue replacement were common rites of passage as the child developed, so that in their early teens they would only need a headset to fit in. The middle class would usually have eyes, artificial eyes which are an integral part of Republic life, implanted at around age 6, so that no form of headset was required through adolescence. I just realized I should really have this out, shouldn't I? Oh shit, that gets rid of the warning. Crap. 1 second. Oh god, I did not prepare that beforehand. You live and you learn, am I right? You live and you learn. We can only do what we can do. There we go. I turned back away from the steel corpse for a moment to take in the city in the distance, all lit up in neon shades of crimson and cyan. Even with the sun just beginning to set, the Republic appears as a beacon, outshining all else with its artificial allure. With a blink, my view clouds over to a dusty brown haze of worn grey columns, each one as uniform and built for function as the last. The sun has only just begun setting, yet the smog that our ancestors exuded has cloaked the once lush planet in a curtain of melancholic dust, the excrement of a foregone people we no longer claim as our own. Rather than coalesce beneath the earth and into a more useful form, they lingered on still, and in everything. One final gift from those who did nothing but take. I really fucked up on reading that line, didn't I? Yeah, in case you can't tell, I'm not much of a writer. You know, I'm a Legatus. I'm built to take shit down. That's what I'm built for. In this case, the grammar's all off. You may notice some spelling errors. This doesn't have an auto spelling correct. We'll do things as we go. The corner of the building offers me an easy entry. The long-dead vegetation just happened to form a slope that leads to the 3rd floor. After that treacherous climb, there are signs of human habitation, the same parasitic infestation that outlives every host. Discarded soda cans, food wrappers, and numerous cigarette butts are scattered over a makeshift floor of patchwork wooden boards and crumbling cement. At least they had the intelligence to strengthen the areas they spent time in. So how did they end up scattered in pieces outside? I wonder. Each step I take into the husk is punctuated with a creak from beneath my feet. Some quiet like a hushed sigh, others loud like a pained groan. Looking down into the darkness through a gaping hole, I can't help but stare a moment at the gently shifting liquid several floors below. The foundation of this metal giant, now acting as a basin, had collected decades of rainwater and formed its own stagnant stew, the smell of which assaulted my senses far more than the fresh meat outside. Had the parasites fallen inside, they would have simply become ingredients in the broth, digested by the already rotting steel giant, no one ever knowing of their fate. For all anyone knows, there could be dozens more below who thought that sneaking into an abandoned building was a good idea. Those types don't tend to be found even in the rare occasion someone actually cares to look, I muse. Regardless, whatever led to the meat scattered outside, it certainly wasn't a premeditated murder. But something had tenderized them before the gravity for sure. I'm glad to see a lot of people enjoying this so far, even though, yeah, it's a bit creepy. It might be a bit hard to take in. Thank you for joining me for this. Word stream, let's go. Word stream, we do what we can. The wooden boards lead me to a metal box extending to the sky. Once an elevator shaft, it still allowed residents to get from one floor to another. Only the method involved the simple rung ladder sticking out of its interior. I begin ascending, pleasantly surprised to find that at least they didn't make any more noise than the simple clang, clang of metal on metal from our contact. At each new floor, I would look out through the opening and find nothing other than crumbled remains without any signs of life. Every dozen or so rungs would be missing or half collapsed on one side. Odds that seemed favorable, at least for now. As I climbed floor by floor, I couldn't help but wonder if this was what it felt like to be a rich, healthy child, with a treehouse before the fall. This elevator shaft leading to these kids' secret clubhouse which they'd thought was safe. As safe as things come in the outskirts, I suppose. Finally, I find myself in an opening that has some life to it. 5 sets of cable wires were looped around the nearest steel beam and bundled up haphazardly on the floor. They likely used this climbing gear on the way up, which begs the question, how many more are in the building? None have used the cables to descend, but at least 2 have taken a shortcut to the ground floor. This level seemed more stable than any before it. Concrete and even some plaster still remained in large sections, creating a fractured web of navigatable terrain. Craggy edges opened up into small holes seemingly randomly, but the most stable areas seemed to be the edges of rooms closest to structural support. I sheepishly tapped the floor with my foot, testing my weight against it, with one hand still gripped tight on a ladder rung before braving a first step forward. My body was heavier than the average man, and seeing the remains of those outside, it seemed to be skinny teenagers that frequented here. Making sure to stick as close to the corners as I can, I make my way forward through the dark. It was impossible to tell now if this had once been a collection of small rental offices or extremely affordable housing. Each room off of the main corridor was a copy of the last, 15 by 15 cubes, the perfect size to fit a workstation or bed in with some space to stretch and move around. It was all the rage in the 21st century. Do more with less. If it doesn't spark joy, out it goes. If you can't afford joy, then at least you could rent a roof with 4 walls. And you could take pride in your small carbon footprint, along with 1,000 other people who shared your building, all paying the wealthy landlord who would pat himself on the back for providing low-income housing to the needy. No, don't worry. This isn't one of those whiny stories with a message about living green or saving the planet either, dear listener. Our problem took care of itself eventually. Not without some casualties, but that's a story for another time. Right now, I'm worried about a different crumbling ecosystem. Capitalism. Why does it crack me up when he does a head voice? I don't know. I do enjoy doing the head voice. I feel like the echo might be a bit strong. I might have to change that before the next time. But yeah, I like doing the head voice. I like having the echo to show that it's like my thoughts rather than me actually narrating. Sorry, I'm going to need a lot of water during this. The echo is good? Good, I'm glad to hear it. It's perfect. Thank you. You guys are so lovely today. Weird. You weren't so lovely at the debut. Let's get going. Sobbing. It's quiet, distant, and muffled by the many layers between its source and me. I rest my fingertips against the crumbling wall and feel the sound as vibrations. Uneven, irregular, and unmistakably human. An image forms in my mind of the space around me, a child conceived from senses in my arm and the optics of my eyes. The vision of a bat without the excessive screeching. At least on my end. Take the third left and then the sixth room on the right. That's where the whining beckons. Inside, I'm met with a curled up mess of adolescence. A teenage boy has reverted to fetal form and whimpers into his arms and knees. My right hand tightens into a fist as I do my best to soften my expression, along with my tone. Kid? Are you okay? He snaps up to look at me instantly, bright blue hair falling just into wide yellow eyes that overflow with panic. The oversized green hiking bag on his back and the way he's curled up gives the appearance of a turtle peeking cautiously out of its shell. Coward in a half shell. Cowabunga. It's the day. Oh! A few words sputtered out of the boy's mouth between gasps for air, but they didn't tell me much. Still unsure whether I was dealing with a remorseful killer or traumatized victim, I continued in my gentlest and most caring voice. I'm Fulgur Ovid, Legatus of Division 505. Can you tell me what happened here? At the mention of my division, the kid collapsed forward, scrambling on hands and knees towards me. I unconsciously take a step back and bring my arms up in a defensive pose as the kid continues to whine. Save! You have to! It's... Please! Save me! Still on somewhere! The kid's eyes were whipping around, searching for help that was nowhere to be found, even as the rest of his body froze in pace. Another sigh escaped my throat without my mouth opening as I returned to a relaxed position. Okay, just calm down, kid. What is it exactly? Even as the question left my lips, I became aware of a strange rumble growing louder around me. Within the cement coffin, it was hard to tell which direction it approached from with just my ears, so I took a step back to the corridor and rested my hand on the crumbling frame once more. Instinctively, the teenager scrambled to the far corner and returned to his fetal ball. It was coming from my left, but very slowly. With each passing second, the sound became clearer, a sort of grinding and the dragging of fleshy material as it moved. I took a step out into the hall and waited to deal with it. Huh. Is she the one you're afraid of? I asked, not expecting a response as I continued to talk to it instead. Ma'am, I'm here to help. Are you okay? She stops moving, head rotating from side to side as she seeks out my voice in the darkness. The form I see at the corner is an adult woman, bound with her ankles and wrists behind her back and attached to one another in a painful yoga-like pose. The clothing her body is a pale light nightgown. Wow, that was not English. Clothing her body is a pale nightgown, much of her form bared to the toxic air. A few sobs and mumbles escape her mouth, which I now realize is gagged. The cables on her limbs and a blindfold over her eyes are the only material that cover her pale flesh. The boy in the cover of the room screams loudly now and begins crying out. Kill it! Kill it before it gets us! The woman rocks and slides on the dirty ground, knees scraping as she drags them forward with the only movement she can muster while bound. Dark fluid leaks out of the torn flesh as she forces herself through the darkness. Don't worry, I'm not here to help you. I open my arms, fingers extended in a harmless pose despite her inability to see it, and begin making my way to her side. I'm a Legatus. I'm gonna need you to be still for a moment while I untie you. Can you do that for me? A moan of consent escapes her lips as she begins sobbing almost as much as the boy. Kneeling down at her side, I take a look over her body and blink once or twice in disgust. She'd clearly been here a while, and there were more than a few signs of the abuse that had been inflicted on her. I can't untie you or remove the blindfold, but you can speak now. Can you tell me your name and what happened? With the gag removed, the woman coughs a few times between whimpers and gasps. Dana! She managed to get out as I eye her cautiously. It's okay now, Dana. They can't hurt you anymore. Especially the ones outside, I note silently for myself. How did you get here? With the gag removed, she sobs violently a few times, each one punctuated by a violent shudder of her body. I wished I could make her more comfortable, but the twisted and blind form was beyond my power to influence. I don't know. More sobs follow as I wait silently for them to pass. Her voice is raspy, with a tinny whistle to it. I remember going to sleep last night. Or maybe it was days ago. When I woke up, I was this, tied and attached to the floor in a different room. I couldn't see anything or speak, but I tried to call out for help. After a while, they appeared. They started taunting me and laughing at me. They threw things. They kicked me. Now she was outright crying as she broke down in tears. I knelt there with her for a long time. The only comfort I was able to give was a gentle pat on her back as she let out her pain and anguish. By the time she calmed down, my own back and thighs were aching from the kneeling position I had taken up. Seeing the contortion she was forced to exist in, I could only grip my teeth in frustration. She didn't even know why she was here or who had condemned her so. In silence, we sat there, neither ready to move forward just yet. Is it done yet? The teenage turtle poked its head out of the room in which it hid, tears and snot choking his words. It's one of them! The woman screamed in alarm as she rocked backwards. Hours! Days maybe! They tortured me before finally taking a break. It was only then that I managed to drag myself free of the ground. Then when they came at me again, I slammed into them. There's two more somewhere. You have to arrest them! As the woman shrieked, I glared daggers at the boy. He shrunk back, face clearly admitting guilt as it disappeared into the safety of another room. I will, I promise as I raise my hand further up her form. He and his friends will all be getting the punishment they deserve. He's too cowardly to even run. I pat the woman's shoulder one more time with my free hand in sympathy, seeing that it does seem to calm her down rather than frighten her. I cautiously trail it down to the back of her head. First, are you ready for me to set you free? She nods, twisting slightly to reveal more of her back to me in the coiled form she was bound in. The image shimmered and pulsed gently, her pale skin as clear as winter frost. The auburn of her hair as luminous as the last leaves clinging to a winter tree. In life, she must have been a one-of-a-kind beauty. Crunch. My fist closes on the back of her skull. Her form pulses with light one last time, which fades away, matching the muted tones of the building around it. Circuitry and metal rain to the floor, and what remains in my hand is only a shattered hard drive. I pull my hand back and take in the rest of the real form in front of me. In another life, this machine was likely a piece of construction equipment with AI components to do automated labor. It had been abandoned along with the building until a group of monsters found and repurposed it. The work was shoddy, wires and components overflowing from its original box-like form. The continuous track which allowed it to move were rusted and fractured, along with the new additional wires and components weighing down and dragging underneath them. The machine was designed to take down walls if needed so it could perform short rounds of momentum, but dragged itself slowly otherwise. It was no surprise she had thought she was tied up and attached to the floor. In her mind, she probably only imagined headbutting or pushing against the two boys she smashed through the wall. She, being the modified imprints the teens had downloaded into the construction bots. Imprints are digitally coded forms of a human consciousness. The process has been around for decades and has its own set of ever-expanding legislations that I won't bore you with. The most important, which these boys broke, is that an imprint must always remember it's an imprint. After going through the procedure, which takes half a day in a machine similar to an MRI, the imprint could start up months, years, even decades after the imprinting. The last thing they need to remember is the procedure so that they're aware they are an imprint when they awaken after that in different circumstances. By editing this code very specifically, the imprint could have that memory removed and believe that it's the original person rather than an imprinted copy. That's a lot of imprint. I'm going to need to rewrite that paragraph. Holy shit. Thankfully, there were only a handful of people that had ever successfully hacked a imprint like this. Whoever hacked this one did so well. In some cases, the imprint would lose its sense of self. This one remembered its original's name and had its own physical form so well ingrained that it managed to convince itself it was simply tied up, blindfolded and gagged, rather than in a machine that had no working vision or limbs. Its voice function muted to stifle the horror of what they were doing to it. Dana the imprint just lived through an horrific experience which felt like days for her. In truth, the boys had probably spent weeks, if not months, abusing her and simply switching her off in between sessions. Meanwhile, Dana the woman could have been anywhere right now, living her best life. She may not even know that someone had hacked her imprint code and created copies of her past for monsters to play with. Or she may well have sold her own code for some extra money. That normally led to regret once the originals heard some of the situations a copy of them had been subjected to. I have no mouth and I must scream. I have no nerves, yet I feel pain. Ceaselessly. Another lead to follow up after this case. Might lead to the hacker himself if the surviving boy can't. A chorus of noise snaps me out of my thoughts as the teenage turtle has found his legs and begun scrambling to the elevator shaft, safe now from the monster of his own creation. I'm on him before he's finished to tell you, you know what? You know what? This is a good time for this. I'm on him before he's finished attaching the cable to begin his descent. His collar in my hand as I press forward, his upper body tilted out over the empty shaft. Were I to let go, he would fall in much the same way as his friends had, though not smashed through a wall in pieces, and become some healthy protein for the still giant. There was another reason that such outdated suits as his weren't used. They limited mobility and certainly didn't float well. Please, sorry, I won't run. I'll pay the fine. I'll serve my time, just don't hurt me. The kid screamed as his fleshy hands clung desperately to my solid arm. Where'd you download the hacked duo? I asked in response. My voice as cool and steely as my arm. I don't know. I take a step forward, allowing the boy to dangle at a much more frightening angle. Another scream comes from the boy before he continues. It was Darren! My friend got it online! Some online porn site, please! I leave the boy hanging for a moment as I stare into his face. The fear is genuine, despite it pulsing and shimmering faintly. That's all the info he knows, so he isn't exactly needed anymore. Taking him in will likely only lead to some military service, as there's no way his family would be able to pay the hefty fine that comes from his crime. He's basically getting a career opportunity for torturing an imprint. Unless... I grab the cable out of his hand as he dangles over the shaft. This long thread, the only exit from the damnation below. Would the weight of his sins cause him to drown? Does he deserve this spider's thread of forgiveness? I'm kidding, of course, dear listener. I'm not a fan of the way the Republic handles cases of duo abuse, but I'm also not arrogant or self-righteous enough to see myself as judge, jury, and executioner in any matter. Fear just happens to be a useful truth serum. I'd have gone insane by now if I got that emotional over every case. Imprints aren't human, and while I can sympathize with them, I don't let it consume me outside of work. My job here is done, and I'm more than ready to clock out and get a drink. I attach the cable to the kid's backpack and blink once more, making his pulsing visage disappear. Instead, my grey eyes now see what little I can of his true form. It's a human-shaped blob in dull grey with large optical lenses on the face, and the bulbous, blocky midsection that keeps his air clean. Making sure that he's securely attached to the cable, I drift him over to the ladder. You try to run again, and I will kill you, I lie while releasing him. In truth, he wouldn't be too hard to catch. The paperwork associated with a human casualty would be much more effort than chasing him, though, so best to avoid that. It's a long drive back to HQ, and the report itself is already going to put me into overtime. That's wrong. Whoops, I pressed the button I shouldn't have. Hey guys! How you all doing? I'm gonna hide this for a second. Fulgur Ovid here, not Legatus. How are y'all doing? What did you think of the story? It's discussion time. We're between chapters. I'm gonna get rid of this. Where is it? Holy crap. There we go. Justice! It's really good? Yo, let's go. I really don't like my writing. My grammar is atrocious. I never learned grammar whatsoever. Doing my best here. And yeah, that one was a very short one. Very, very short. Yeah, the characters are a bit two-dimensional. A couple of the early ones are going to be very two-dimensional. But we'll do what we can to make them interesting in the future. Yo, that's a lot of really nice things. Yeah, the grammar's really bad. I'm sorry. I never learned it. My writing style is a bit crazy. It goes in all kinds of different directions. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. It looks like a lot of people enjoyed it. It was, but I loved it. Native speaker, yeah. Yeah, it might be some confusing for not native speakers as well. I wonder how many of the references you guys got. There's a lot of references in there. I especially like the spider thread one. The Dante's Inferno ones. I'll leave the rest of them to you guys' imagination and to find out. And thank you for all the donations to the food fund. I'm sorry I haven't been saying that during the thing. I'm trying to essentially like read a mini bit. Like the next one is much longer. It'll take a lot longer to read, but I'll also be splitting it up. Like there's little points where it's easy to break up and pause. And so yeah, we'll have discussions there. But yeah, thank you for all the food funds. I'm just trying not to interrupt while we're in the middle of reading it. Okay, one thing I want to say now, because I really should have said this at the beginning, but I was kind of distracted with the whole being Legatus thing. The voice acting, though, yeah, not great at the girl voice. Trying my best. I probably have like 4 or 5 different voices, but it's good. The spider thread one, Akutagawa, let's go. I'm so glad somebody got that. That's a pretty rare one. That's a pretty, yeah, not well-known one, I would imagine. But I guess it's a bit more well-known in our kind of circles. You're doing great. Thank you. What I was going to say is when I upload these, I'm not going to upload them immediately to the blog. I'm going to leave it like 3 days. Yeah, I'll leave it for like 3 days. And within that time, if anybody provides any artwork for any of the scenes, like a chapter header, or just like a piece of artwork for like a scene in it, outside, inside, whatever, any point during the story, if you let me know, if you use the hashtag Legatus505, which I need to put in my lists, but if you use the hashtag Legatus505 and you do some artwork, then I'll be happy to put that on the blog as well, and I'll do it as like a hyperlink so that anybody who sees that artwork and likes it can click it and be instantly taken to your Twitter or whatever else you upload it to. AO3 writer. Not as skilled as many AO3 writers, unfortunately. Why 505? You guys tell me. In fact, yeah. You guys want to try and answer that? 505, what do you think? Think about the idea of the Republic, of the naming system that I've been using. 404? 404 would have been good too. Error 505 is a thing. That's not where it comes from. SOS. SOS is pretty funny. It sounds like it should be a lot of things. Like 505 is like a page return error, right? No, it's not SOS, surprisingly. SOS would have been great. Oh, man. Nobody's getting it yet. That's pretty cool. I hope some people find it later. When the Republic started? Nah. No, this is, as I said in the intro, 325 years after the fall. After the Republic started. 505. 505. Arctic monkeys? No, not Arctic monkeys. This is cool. I'm glad you guys haven't gotten it yet. A lot of people have found things otherwise. Okay. We put away the sheep. We go back to Legatus mode. We close chapter 1. So now we're going on to chapter 2. And let's see what kind of trigger warnings we've got for this one. I think it's less. There's not so much less. Less serious ones, I guess. Oh god, I'm going to pin that now. Replace pinned message. And we're going to change the text. And we're going to kill this music. That's very intense music, which we don't need right now. What are we going to need for this? Probably this one. Yeah, this is going to be good for this one. Okay, new content warning. That's long. Long. Man. Okay, I said okay. Cancel. Okay. Okay, and I also need to change it on the book one. Oh no, I don't. I just need to move it down. This is fine. Okay. We ready for the next chapter? Gonna drink some water. And we're ready to dive in. Emotional damage? Yeah, all of the emotional damage, all of the trigger warnings. I hope you're prepared for it. Chapter 2. Min Headroom. And that's a reference. If you get that reference, yo, you're a real one. Content warnings. Mentions of suicide, emotional abuse, child neglect. Any of that creeps you out, feel free to leave. Honestly, don't worry about it. Nobody will hold anything against you. I get it. We all have problems that we don't want to like deal with during our downtime. We can get through this together. The voice of a man echoes through my mind. It's a calming voice. A little hoarse like my own, but deeper and more rich. A plow pushing through a blizzard. My neck and chest move as I try to drag myself up in bed, but I can't quite get the rest of my anatomy to respond. They were wrong. Nope. They told me that I'd lose movement as well as feeling. They were wrong. I lost the movement bit by bit, but the feeling only changed. First, there were thick socks on my feet, oven mitts on my hands. Eventually, layers of puffy winter clothes covered every part of my body up until my chest, all of which were now surging with electricity and fire, an intense pain I had experienced as far back as I can remember. Cramps, they thought at first, then spasms. Now, it was constant and unceasing. I don't manage to sit up, but do end up groaning in pain from the tiny semblance of movement. The man's arms are on my shoulders, pulling me forward and then rearranging the piles of blankets behind me to keep me stable. Fire in my abdomen, bile in my chest. I grit my teeth and bare it so that I can look him in the eye. Light blue, so pale that they're almost grey. My own brown eyes come from the other one in the room. Her, standing at the doorway, looking out into the distance. She turns to face me for a moment, but can't stand it for long, turning back outside. Grab the chair, sweetie. The man is doing his best to smile. I try to do the same, and end up baring my fangs in silent suffering. Those light blue eyes are lakes, each with a dam holding back a flood that he'd never let wash over me. Later, they'll burst and unleash a waterfall. Not now. Not in front of me. Sweetie? He finally turns away from me to look to her. But she's already gone. He hadn't seen her packing her bags last night. Hadn't heard her making arrangements for days. Hadn't noticed that she didn't look at either of us anymore. Only through us. Outside. We'll get through this together. scream in pain as I roll quickly out of bed. On my feet, I freeze in a solid standing position, feet and arms both perfectly straight as the pain crashes over me in waves. It's so agonizing that my vision has gone wide and I'm frozen in a silent scream. Too pain to breathe, let alone speak or move. Seconds, most likely, but it feels like hours before the pain begins to ebb and wane. The shaking of my chest alerts me to the fact that I'm taking short gasps of air, so I begin taking back control of my lungs. In 3 times. Out 3 times. In 6 times. Out 6 times. The numbers go higher before I start lowering them into deeper breaths. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I open my eyes. Nothing but darkness as the Cynets are currently in sleep mode, where I should be. I blink twice and see the outlines of vision. There aren't any physical lights to turn on in here. The room is empty as it should be, other than the few plants reliant on me for water and nutrients. My breathing becomes slower and deeper as the pain subsides. A blink of my eyes brings the bedroom to life. Red and purple lighting illuminating the Duoverse version of my bedroom. Why waste light when we don't even see it? My left hand lifts in a perfect bicep curl to appear in my vision. Gently, I open and close the fingers, watching the metal respond to my command. I'll get through this. Just like always. "7 a.m., I note, looking at one of the 3 computer terminals on my desk. 3 hours is better than nothing, I guess. I step around my bed and press a button on the desk to raise it to my standing height. Reaching forward, I touch the air where the monitor would be if it existed in reality, and it comes to life. A virtual keyboard and several terminals appear on my workspace. All I need to do is glance at the message icon and think about it, and the window opens, alerting me to 4 audio messages and 99 text ones. Don't judge me. I thrive in chaos. Mess. I thrive in mess. I wrote that in my head as I was speaking. Several down, highlighted in red, is the message from Legion HQ. New Legadio posted 3 hours ago. Not like I was doing anything anyway. I click into the message and read the briefing. Besides missions that are given directly to a Legatus individually, Legati are expected to take their own Legadio or missions to pass the time. This one, posted in the early hours of the morning, came from the Praetor of Education. Surprising that no Legati have jumped on this. They usually love serving those in power. Tends to come with rewards. As I read through the briefing, I come to understand why it was going unanswered. You really expect any self-respecting Legatus to go to secondary school? I muse. I'd rather go back to sleep, and that's a nightmare as it is. A small notification flashes to life outside of the terminal, directly in my eyes. I take it you're interested in serving the Praetores. Chroma. I growl out a particularly aggravated sigh in response. I'm pretty sure I have more dangerous mission experience than any other Legatus without subordinates. Regardless, I've only been in this position for 2 years, and as such, I'm very much the rookie of our ranks. I don't see why our Praetor Chroma goes out of her way to torture me with every boring mission she can find, and she's clearly set up alerts for when I view notices. But I don't see any way of getting out of it at this point. I slip into my trousers, looping a belt around them and attaching my net jack to the front. I follow that up by putting my plants away safely for the day before I finally stop protesting the command in silence. It only takes a mental thought and the touch of 2 fingers to the side of my neck to accept the mission. Accept. At which point Chroma's message alert disappears as though it were never there. In a literal sense, it never was. I guess I'm going to secondary school. My parents would be so thrilled. How are you all doing with this one so far? This is going to be a pretty damn long one, I got to admit. The duality of chat. I saw people talking about needing to bring out the bonk stick and the yaoi paddle. Are you guys kidding me? What have you been up to? Dirty chat. Dirty. The pain at first? Yeah, as I said, connected to a lot of things, not just connected to Legatus. I wonder if anybody will guess what that actually is. It'll be very interesting to see between chapters. Anyway, let's get back to it. Thank you all for being here. Caught in 4K. Hydrate? Yeah, make sure those of you at home as well. Hydrate before you dihydrate. Make sure you're having a nice tasty snack. And again, if anything gets uncomfortable, dip out. Don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. Okay. Going to school in this case doesn't involve actually leaving the house. Rather, I need only use the credentials I was supplied by the Legion to access the school's intranet Duoverse server. But school begins at 8:15, so I have around an hour to kill first. Breakfast, I confirm, ordering my usual from the local ghost kitchen. It takes 15 minutes, for which my eyes apologize for the delay, but assures me the food is waiting outside. A glass of purified water blended with anti-inflammatories to start off. I chug the solution down, immediately following up with a gulp of black coffee. The burn from the acid is remedied by the burn of heat, but at least my medicine is down and I can take my time with the rest. A full cup of black coffee and a high-quality protein bar. The biological parts of my body don't require many calories, and the synapse parts have already charged while I slept. The first bite brings a smile to my lips. Chocolate and coconut flavor today. I've been told they taste just like the real thing. Not that I have any point of reference. Sitting at the desk, I open the file which appeared when I accepted and begin diving deeper into the case. I read that differently, but that works. 4 students now had ended up committing suicide in as many months. All 4 had belonged to the same school, Pegasus Academy for Soaring Youths. Other than that, there didn't seem to be any connection between them. 3 girls, 1 boy. 2 different grades. They all had teachers that overlapped, but at different frequencies. They all lived in different areas and none shared any extracurricular activities. In fact, none had any extracurriculars at all. That was the only major similarity between them. Pegasus Academy was an average educational facility. It was a private school, as were most in the Republic, but it didn't boast any particular call to fame. They didn't have any physical facilities like some of the sports and performance academies might. There weren't any noteworthy alumni or possible patrons in the faculty for students to latch onto. During Legion conscription, alumni had a decent chance of earning a career, but not a great one. It was overwhelmingly average, but their tuition fees reflected that, and as a business, it was booming. Nonetheless, with such a mediocre school, it was doubtful that any criminal group was targeting them, nor was it likely that poor conditions had led to a mental health crisis. Hence, they wanted a member of the Legion to enter the school undercover and keep their eye on the students to try and find what was causing the suicides. Theories included student violence, abuse by staff, a new untraceable drug, or some form of Duoverse hack or virus that's being tested locally. It was due to the latter that Division 505 was flagged as possible responders. And so, here I go. Taking a final cold sip of coffee, I touch the side of my neck and confirm signing into Pegasus Academy. My bedroom fades to white and slowly my surroundings are filled in, starting closest to me with a small American-style single desk at the back of a large classroom. The pulse and shimmer of the Duoverse brings the classroom to life inch by inch, revealing that I'm not the first to make it in. It's still 10 minutes before class starts, and there are only 1 or 2 kids at their seats. At the front of the room, a small group of 4 have formed. all excitedly chattering about the notice on the large monitor. We have a transfer student joining us today. Please welcome Ada Corvus. Okay, now I know she's fucking with me, I grumbled to myself. It wasn't unusual for citizens of the Republic to be named after very simple terms in Latin. When the original founders of the megacity founded her, many took on names from Latin that spoke to how they saw themselves, and that tradition has lived on for generations that followed. Fulgur Ovid itself simply means lightning sheep after all. Ada Corvus, though. Gloomy, dark crow. I looked to the side at a particularly well-polished broom cabinet and confirmed that yes, I've been provided a different duotar for the sake of this undercover investigation. What's surprising to me is that it's almost a one-for-one recreation of my normal look. The head is bigger, the eyes and mouth larger on my face. The jacket is white where it should be red and doesn't bear the wolf insignia of the Legati, instead home to a particularly angsty-looking crow. Finally, my arms, throat, and legs all appear completely human. I'm looking at a shonen version of myself that never existed. One that would have taken far more than the hour since I accepted this mission to design. I'm pulled out of my silent rage by several loud creaks and cracks as I realize I've almost splintered the wood of my real-world desk within my grip. Releasing it, I make a silent vow to invoice a new adjustable desk to the Legion and do some of my own detective work to discover who exactly had a teenage Fulgur commissioned and when they were kind enough to pass it on to Praetor Chroma. An arrogant smile hidden in the brush of a dark beard came to mind. Remind me to thank the professor for his own extracurriculars. If he has any kind of survival instincts, he just felt a cold chill blowing in his way on dark, gloomy wings. The gaggle of teens at the front of the room has noticed me now, and they're making their way to the back of class, each giggling and whispering to one another with words that I don't understand. Shui, rips, dreg? That I know at least. I officially feel old. A girl pushes in front of the rest, long white hair swaying rhythmically with each step. The dark red skin and irregularly sized horns on her head give off the appearance of a Japanese Oni, but she's combined it with an American cheerleading uniform. She greets me with more energy in her voice than I think I've ever had in my entire body. Hey, Ada, right? Sway jacket. I'm Melissa, and it's so nice to meet you. How I handle this first interaction could make or break the investigation. What should I do, dear listener? Should I attempt to be a fuckboy? Or go full Chunibyo edgelord? What would you prefer? I don't know how to do a thing anymore. Oh, there's a poll. Okay, I'll make a poll. Fuckboy? Or Chunibyo? I'll give you guys like 2 to 3 minutes to answer. Did that work? Yeah, that worked. Sweet. Which one are you going for, guys? Let's see what we get to do. Let's see how much fun we get to have. Keep in mind, whatever you answer, you won't get to see the other one. The other one will be gone forever. It will never be uploaded. You will never get to hear it. You will never get to read it. Unfortunately. Can't please everyone. Oh, they're battling out pretty well. Fuckboy took the lead, but then Chunibyo brought it back. Hey, you love to see it. Oh, I should put the book away while I'm doing this. Batsu game will get you? I don't know about that. Fuckboy, please. Oh man, you guys are going serious on this. Getting so close. Only 56% Chunibyo. No, I want both. Sorry, you can't have it both ways. That's not how it works. You pick a choice, you go down a path. That's the end of it. Hello, everybody who's just tuning in. Please do pay attention to the content warnings. I think that's nice and enough. Yeah, Chunibyo's kept ahead with quite a few votes. End poll. So we're gonna go Chunibyo. Sorry, fuckboy, you're gone. Okay. Go for Chunibyo, edgelord. Are you approaching me? I stand up by my desk and hold a closed fist in front of my face with a threatening aura. I've had this arm sealed for 6 years now. Are you sure you wish me to unleash its power? My question echoes throughout the room, and even those not paying attention to me before are now fixated on my performance. This suits my look, at least. Maybe they'll find it ironic. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. There's a painful silence in which 2 of the students laugh and walk off, each dying to post about the interaction online. Okay, Twip. You can take it way down. Just wanted to say, hey, you freak. The last of the teenagers walk away, leaving me posed like a shonen artist reference mannequin. I sigh quietly, letting my arms fall down to my side before collapsing back into my chair. Can't say that I ever understood kids, and the gulf between us has only increased with age. Shoujo pose? You'll never know. The first lesson of the day is excruciatingly boring. The kids in this class are supposed to be 15, but they're learning the kind of maths I mastered at age 10. I wish I could say that meant that I flew through the quiz without a problem, but it was actually the opposite. Hunting down threats to society doesn't lead to many opportunities to brush up on trigonometric functions or the formula they're used in. An hour of the lesson goes by painfully slowly and is capped off with everyone's test scores appearing above their heads for one another to judge. My 12% brings a few double takes as well as several laughs from other parts of the room. They might laugh even more if they discovered that all of those marks came from logical steps when given one of the formula, and not from a single correct answer or proper use of knowledge. I can see why this kind of environment would lead to violent actions. Doesn't help that I wouldn't be able to physically hit any of these students who only existed in this space virtually. Perhaps Shelter Fulgur might have done better in primary school. During the break, the full room is abuzz with students forming little cliques and discussing whatever it is that children find interesting. My eyes lock onto Alona sitting 2 chairs to the side of me, staring out the back window of the classroom. She looks depressed enough, I muse, though a similar expression was likely plastered on my own face during the test. I make my way over to her, having to sidestep the corner of my bed in real life, which appears in my vision as a red outline when I'm close enough to hit it. The girl presented herself in a duotard that was far too youthful for her. The Oni from earlier had looked adult, and most of the students in the room looked closer to 18 than 15. But this one, along with 2 more in the room, clearly didn't have as much expendable income to customize their looks. That, or their parents preferred them this way. Jet black hair parted in the middle, the traditional school uniform of a black blazer with matching skirt, a white button-up shirt underneath. She even had the same cold grey eyes as me, uncustomized from the basic eye model. She was small, maybe 12 years old from her look, and I couldn't help but wonder if she had been supposed to grow into the look and had been wearing it for longer than 3 years. She didn't pay attention to me at all as I approached, focused instead on something else outside the window. I look out at the Republic in the morning and see nothing of particular interest. What does the city look like to you? I ask, watching her eyes zip between points on the skyline. Today? She asks, barely able to hear the question. There's dozens of castles, each with their own unique look. The sky's filled with monsters and other creatures. I could be hunting them with magic, if I wasn't trapped here. I blink a few times, searching through a DV modding site. It doesn't take long to find an image that she's described. Mythological Monsters mod turned the Republic into a fantasy game. Not only did it make the megacity look like a fantasy world with 3 moons, grassy fields, and towers replacing the pavement and buildings, but it also let you hunt monsters and recruit them onto your team to use their powers. This was pretty advanced as far as Duoverse mods went, and not quite legal. When it came to the Duoverse, each connected user with a subscription plan had the rights to their own Duo avatar or Duotar. Children under the age of 20's rights were owned by their parents up to 16, and the Republic itself from 16 to 20. Hence the strange atmosphere in the classroom, with many students being dressed as students, and others with wealthier or more liberal parents looking however they liked. It costed extra to change the appearance of additional items such as their own apartments, vehicles, or individual items, not to mention imprints. For the parts of the world that belong to no one, the streets, sky, and airspace, Mirari allowed users to install mods that could change their looks. Some were as simple as different shaders or lighting effects. Others were advanced as filling the sky with flying cars, the world with animals and life, or making it appear the Republic was underwater. That doesn't even come close to the weirdest mods I've heard of, dear listener. Those that turned the buildings into giantesses, meals into tiny living creatures, and even a mod that made the Republic into the critically acclaimed MMORPG Endless Escapism 14, with an expanded free trial which you can play through the entirety of an Age Anew, and the award-winning Northbound expansion up to level 60 for free, with no restrictions on playtime. The only rule that this girl's mod broke was overriding the appearance of buildings which each belonged to people other than the users. It likely wouldn't be expunged anytime soon. Harmless compared to those that would overwrite other users' duos with filters, the most popular of which was unsurprisingly a nudity mod that always managed to find its way back online no matter how often it was taken down. I stared at the world the girl was viewing for a little while longer, then returned to the unaltered duoverse and locked back on her. A full minute had passed, but she was still staring, awestruck at the fantasy creatures that only her and a few thousand other citizens of the Republic could see. Looking around the classroom, I found the same glazed-over expression on a few other students. One's head span on a swivel as he clearly played some other ARG that could work in the classroom. Another was sat perfectly still, but with their expression occasionally flashing with a smirk or silent giggle, watching some media through their eyes. Several others were mouthing wordlessly, not quite used to having conversations with just their thoughts as they adapted to the new technology, now a part of their bodies and their lives. There were only a few students who actively interacted with one another in person. The group who had approached me earlier was chief among them at the front of the class. The mathematics teacher, who was supposed to be keeping an eye on the class during break, was sat perfectly still in the corner, his eyes unblinking. I could only expect that he had disconnected from the school to take a more personal break, leaving the students unattended. I did say this was an average school. You get what you pay for. Did you know any of the kids that committed suicide? I asked the distracted girl in front of me. Someone killed themselves? She doesn't even turn to face me, voice filled with less emotion than she had while describing the world she saw beyond the classroom. That loads. Don't ask me. It could have been good or bad with all the feelings she put into it. If any of the kids around me heard the mention of suicide, none of them showed any concern. It seemed like everyone at the back of the class was lost in their own little worlds without any intention of interacting with the school outside of lessons. I'm summoning up the willpower to talk to that plan. Summoning up the motivation. Where the fuck did I go? The willpower to talk to another kid 2 rows forward when I realize a fatal flaw in that plan. Taking a single step towards him, I see the corner of my real-life desk appear far to the side of my tiny school one. Lifting my hand and moving it forward reveals the wall of my bedroom. A thin red cage preventing my escape from the back of the room. Another chorus of laughter erupts, and I see the group at the front pointing me out. My guess is it looked like I was waving in their direction. Perish the thought. Feeling damn blessed that I never had to attend one of these hellholes right now. Hey, Melissa, can you guys come over here? I need to talk for a minute. The response I receive is more laughter, followed by, Ew, did you hear his voice? So old and fake. I probably should have gone with the fuckboy voice from earlier. Why doesn't this duotone make me sound like a teen? I return to my own desk and prepare to copy my teacher's methods. Who says that you don't learn anything useful in school? The only reward I receive is a message box taking over most of my view. Your guardian, Chroma, has not provided a pardon from class. Enjoy your studies. Several expletives flash through my mind one after another as I begin to see what the next 7 hours of my life entails. Everyone else at the back of the class is focused on their own worlds, while the students at the front who might actually know some of the kids refuse to approach me. My mission briefing was very clear on the fact that I had to pretend to be a regular teen. I couldn't simply reveal myself as a Legatus and make them answer me. What a waste of my time. My eyes are drawn to the window. No flying cars or monsters. In the daylight from this vantage point, it looks far less impressive than at night from afar. All I can see is one floor of the building across the street, which appears to be apartments. Every couple of windows, the style of the building's exterior changes drastically. One block looks like a cottage with paneled windows and plaster stone. The next is more modern, the entire wall itself being made of glass that allows a full view of the empty living space. After that is a section with no windows, just bulging rock like a mountain is growing out of the other rooms. I return to my small desk, a perfect copy of every other one in the room. Countless students would have sat here over the years, yet the pale wood encircling me shows no sign of it. No gum stuck on the underside, remnants of DNA carrying a genetic signature into the future. No words of wisdom carved in for the next occupant. Not even a scrawled pair of initials in ink that a teacher couldn't erase. When I was done pretending to be a student here, the next occupant would find it just as uniform. No sign that an undercover Legatus had ever been here. It really makes you think about how little autonomy we give to students, and just how powerless and insignificant that must. A high-pitched bell snaps me out of the thought. All of the kids in the room find their seats before another bell rings out in confirmation. The classroom around me shakes and distorts like an ancient analog glitch for just a second, and suddenly there are different students in the seats, and a new teacher at the corner of the room. I guess break is over. The next two classes drag by just as slowly as the first. I'm better at biology, but still don't remember the useless information these kids are currently filling their heads with. History I managed to score a near perfect grade in, as they just happen to be learning about the fall. Finally, something with actual life relevance. As we're released for lunchtime, I find another horror waiting for me. Some students have started to stretch or begun mingling, but those who have the option have simply pulled their food out from the side, already prepared for this moment. I stand up and try to move backwards out of my bedroom, but the back of the classroom is only 2 steps behind me. When I try to simply walk through it, an alarm begins blaring in my head, warning that I'm in danger and to return within bounds. My eyesight is filled with pure red, and the alarm persists, but I struggle on. When I try to take another step, it's combined with a sharp pain at the back of my head. I jump backwards, slamming into my desk and coming to a rest, one arm holding me steady on it. So, they've given me an electric collar. Certainly an effective way to train this generation into loyal pups, and enough of a pain to calm a wolf, too. Looking around the room for help, I see that no one is paying any attention to my predicament. Teacher, I need to be excused, I call out to the woman sitting in the corner. She puts down the sandwich she'd taken a single bite out of, sighing in annoyance, and walks away over to me. Imitation food. Someone's fancy. First aid jitters, Corvus. As she stands in front of me, I realize she's looking down at me literally as well as figuratively. To her, my eyes must be in my chest. Just how short did they make this avatar? Not at all, ma'am. I just didn't realize I needed to prepare my lunch beforehand. The program won't let me leave. Unimpressed, she crosses her arms over her stomach, not seeming to see how that's her problem. I have diabetes, I lie. I'd rather not pass out by 5th period. You don't have any pre-existing health conditions, she replies coldly, following it up with a click of her tongue. I'm sending a pardon request to your guardian. If they give you the go-ahead, then so be it. I only nod in confirmation, hoping that Chroma will stop the games for lunch at least. I expected better from you. Your marks on the exam were impressive. Don't waste your gifts like the Doomers did. My sight darts down and left at the sudden praise, and I pause for a second, considering how to respond. Thank you. I look up to find the teacher halfway back to her seat, her back moving away as she puts me out of her mind. Then the classroom fades to white and I'm left staring at the blank monitor in my room in silence. Just like always. How we doing? How we doing? Thank you, ma'am. It's because I'm an adult. Yeah, not a great teacher. Not a very great situation for the students either, is it? You're offering an ARG? Well, we haven't even gotten to the ARG bit yet. That's how boomers are in the future, doomers. Doomer refers to anyone that was born before the fall. Anyone that was alive before the apocalypse. Hence, doomers. You all led to your own doom, you know. Well, technically, we led to your own doom. But we'll go into that someday. Yeah, doomers, anyone from your time. Your storytelling is great. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Did I miss something? Yeah, no, this is Legatus. We'll go back to Fulgur Ovid between chapters. So we're all doomers. Yes, you are all doomers. And that was going to be one of my voice lines. They went with the, come in, do you read me? Rather than one of mine was just like an evil laugh and like, okay, doomer. They didn't want to go with that one. Probably a good thing. Probably would have led to even more cringe. Anyway, we'll jump back into this. I'm glad you're all still enjoying it. Free from the prison of school, I head to my living room and confirm an order for lunch. There's no afternoon break, so unless I want to spend a second day attending classes, I need to be back before lunch ends. I live a simple single life. My entire living room consists of a single comfy sofa, a table to rest things on, and a treadmill. The living room is easily 3 times the size of my bedroom though, and this time I know where I'll spawn in the classroom. Dragging my sofa and table into the corner, I visualize desks in my living room and assure myself I'll be able to get to the front row of the class, but not the entirety of the room. The treadmill is off to the side enough that I won't need to worry about it, unless I intend to step on a teacher at some point. Good enough. I'd see them ignore me when I'm 5 feet away from them. My food arrives as I finish the setup, and I begin to finish it quickly before going back in. It's doubtful that another protein bar is going to impress anyone. Even the teacher paid extra for imitation food shape. Chicken Caesar. Not half bad. Booting back into the classroom leaves me feeling drained instantly. The gentle hum of light fixtures that don't exist. The wafting scent of food all taking the form of bars or shakes, yet with varied flavors. The rhythmic clicking of a detached teacher's nails on the desk as she reads a magazine. I can't help but wonder why they bothered to program in so much detail, yet keep it all so bland. My arrival at the back of the class catches some attention. Likely more the fact that I actually got to leave in the first place than my return. Stepping between virtual desks, I make my way to the 3rd row and interrupt a pair of students in the middle of a conversation about some boy band. The demon is just a tryhard. I'm all about the cyborg. I'm pretty sure is what she said when I cut in. Hey, Ader. I'm new. Just wanted to say hey. Later? You mean like Kevin? The girl hits the boy on the shoulder and both chuckle for a moment. A snapping sound coming from another student's fingers draws their attention forward, their laughter dying instantly. I follow their eyesight, expecting the teacher on her way to tell them off, but instead see a boy, one of Melissa's group from the morning, staring daggers at them. As I was just saying, the cyborg isn't begging for attention, he's just doing his own thing. Everyone is just assuming what he's up to. She continues as I tune out the sound. I glare back at the teenager in the front of the class for a moment longer and realize that his entire group are now grinning little shit-eating smiles at me. Oi, Kevin, I say, turning back to the pair. His eyes twitch a little, but he does his best to continue the conversation he was having with the girl about boy bands. Hey! I try to place my hand on his shoulder and see the fleshy appendage slip right through, and another warning flash up in my eyesight about returning to class bounds. Kevin in turn flinches a little, but continues his conversation in a higher pitch. Okay, that's a pretty impressive display of control, I have to admit as I face the boy in front of the class. He's already turned back to his little group, and they're whispering to one another and laughing, obviously enjoying this little game. Speaking of games, he looks like a video game character. Dark blue leather and white fur adorns his bulky frame. I just saw somebody say we need to talk about Kevin. Keep that in mind. Good one, Ube. Good reference. As he moves, his hands leave a slight trail of blue smoke behind them. I do a visual search and confirm that I'm looking at Park Ferrum. Kid's a professional Gladius player, one of the best in the Republic with tons of sponsorships and subscribers. His duotar looks just like it does in the game, even including the visual effects. The effect alone would be worth a small fortune, though likely something he received for free from the game company. Regardless, my investigation just became a lot easier. As I have the kid's address pulled up on my eyes, I'm acutely aware of the silence that has fallen, and blink to clear my vision. Everyone in the room, aside from the teacher and one or two students who are still lost in their own worlds, is staring at Kevin. In tandem, they all raise a single finger pointed right at his face. He spins from side to side in confusion, and finally turns to the girl he was just talking to with tears in his eyes. As if on cue, they all burst into hysterical laughter. I can hardly believe my senses as I look from one student to another. Even those who had been doing their own thing had joined in on perfect timing with the ritualistic mockery. The teacher on the corner is simply shaking her head as if she's seen this all before. I guess laughter isn't against the rules. Kevin himself had started trying to grab his friend, first by the hand and then by the shoulders, hand slipping straight through her form. "Apricus, come on! What the fuck? Really? Me?" She doesn't even flinch, letting his form slip through hers without any acknowledgement. He pleads with her for several moments before looking down at her desk, eyes beginning to water. As suddenly as it began, the laughter in the room dies. The silence lasts roughly 2 seconds while the fingers stay pointed directly at Kevin. I reach out to another kid at my side, letting my fingers slip straight through their eyes, but getting no reaction. They can't see anything. Finally, the hands fall down all at the exact same time, and the students return to what they were doing before. The only change is the girl, Apricus I assume, who stands and moves to another group of 3 students, joining in with their conversation. A neural net virus? I wonder silently. It was like they were all possessed. Ferrum and a group of kids at the front are laughing again and gesturing at Kevin, whose face has gone blank. Lunch will be ending any minute now. Kevin might be pissed enough to tell me what that just was. I could go directly to the source though. Ferrum and those at the front are the only ones taking pleasure from the event. Stands to reason that they know what's going on. What should I do, dear listener? We need to talk with Kevin? Or time for some anti-Ferrum? Kevin? Or Ferrum? You decide. Let's go with the poll. You don't have to spam choices, you can tell me. Use the poll, guys, use the poll. That's what it's there for. Oh, that's a lot of Kevin. Holy shit. You need to choose wisely? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you don't get to go back. You never get to go back. It's not how time works. So invested right now. Let me see both. I'm sorry. That's not how it works. You get one. You get one and you're locked in. I don't like the name Kevin. Fair enough. Who said what's a Kevin? Oh man. What's anti-Ferrum? Don't worry about it. It looks like we're choosing Kevin, so I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, Kevin's got a 77%, so I think we're good. I think we can end the poll here. Thank you guys for voting. There we go. Now I can end it. We need to talk with Kevin. 1,000 votes. Let's go. Kevin is staring straight down at his desk and convulsing in silent sobs. I almost reach out to rest my hand on his shoulder, but catch myself remembering how that went last time. Hey, are you good? I ask, crouching down into a squat so I'm close to his eye level. With how short this duotar is, I may even be below him in his eyes. Kevin sobs a little, turns to face me, and then simply looks away. Piss off. It's your fault, he gets out between breaths. The laughing thing? Why was that my fault? The laughing thing, he echoes back at me with venom in his voice. That's just how it starts. Well, What does it become? Maybe I can help? Just piss off! He tries to push me away, ignoring the alarms in his head about school boundaries, and even throws a useless punch my way. I hope you're next, you freak! Off to the side, I hear Ferrum giggle, again in pleasure. Fuck this, I'm done with school. 2 fingers press against my neck, confirming my message had been sent to Park Ferrum. I see his eyes widen as he reads its contents that only he can see. Maple Estates, 84th floor, apartment 16. I'm coming to you right after school, Dreg. The same high-pitched note as before rings out in the room, and a large warning appears in my vision. Return to your seat within 10 seconds, or you will receive a detention. I hurry back to my sofa, stepping carefully around the table I position in front of it. The timer is counted down to 3 as I take my seat and the warning disappears. For a moment, I can see Ferrum staring at me in shock, and then my vision glitches and the class is reorganized around me. I notice Melissa, the only girl from the morning, is at the front of the class as well, but don't recognize any of the other faces. And we'll never get to see Auntie Ferrum. Can we load the save? No. This isn't ReZero. We don't get to return from death. There are no do-overs, only one run. Okay, let's get back into it. Make sure you're staying hydrated, guys. The second half of the day drags by just as slowly as the first. I had to stick around to act like a regular student, but I'm already prepared to hunt down my next clue from Park Ferrum in person. The final bell rings out and causes the classroom to slowly dissolve from far to close this time, my own living room reappearing in its place. I stand, stretch a little, and then turn on a mirror in my eyes to show me what I look like right now. No, I'm not becoming vain or anything like that, dear listener. After today, I just wouldn't put it past Praetor Chroma to have left me in the shonen duotar until the investigation was complete. I still can't believe she forced me to attend a full day of secondary school for her own amusement. She may even have the same recording as Park Ferrum of my first impression on the kids. With that thought haunting me, I leave my house and grab my car from underground parking, looking forward to my own extracurricular. The Maple Estates building isn't much different from the apartment complex across from the school. From the outside, it's a chimera of different shapes and styles, all smashed together to form one huge tower. I pull my car into visitor parking, make my way to one of the elevators, and press the button for 84th floor. Welcome to Maple Estates. We hope you enjoy your visit. Echoes through the tiny box. Whoops. I know someone who won't appreciate it. My ride up is serenaded by calming music that I gently nod my head to. Once I'm past the 50s and climbing, I tap 2 fingers to the side of my neck and allow myself to go into predator mode. This. No, this. Not a word, dear listener. I didn't name it. Predator mode simply changes my duotar to a pure black humanoid figure with a red outline and distorts my voice to protect my identity. There are also options to make your movements silent and disable yourself appearing at all in the duoverse. But those are only offered in very rare scenarios. The inside of Maple Apartments looks surprisingly simple. Cream-colored walls with a gold trim, red carpets with white floral patterns. The only sign that this was a shared occupation zone were the doors, each of which was of a different style, some more wild than others. Number 16 was relatively plain. Dark oak wood with a frosted glass panel in the middle. The entire thing is likely some sort of reinforced metal in reality, since they just let anyone enter the corridors, but I'm not bothered enough to confirm it. Instead, I simply knock on the edge of the door 3 times, certain that I won't have to huff or puff to bring it down. Yes, who is it? A man's voice, much deeper than the boy I was here to see, responded through the intercom.
Legatus of Legion 505. I'm here to talk to your son, Ferrum.
The intercom goes dead for a moment, and then the click of the magnetic lock invites me in. I push open the door to reveal a Victorian-style hallway with dark hardwood floors, a staircase leading up to my left, and 2 doors on the wall to my right. Did chat just disconnect? No, my thing's just being weird. That's interesting. 1 second, I'm gonna have to reload this. That freaks me out. Good, we're good. Oh good, you like the voice. That's what broke it. There's too many people commenting on the voice at once. Let's go. I'm gonna reread this. I'm not sure that I actually read this bit. The first is open and leads me to a large living room with bay windows illuminating the open floor plan. A glass table sits in the middle of the room, and surrounding it in a half hexagon are a large corner sofa and 2 reclining chairs. Against one wall is a mantelpiece with a roaring fire. On and around the mantel are trophies, photos, and keepsakes from a happy family, with a TV covering every other part of the wall. I step around the table to have a look at the photos and confirm a recent one of Park Ferrum. In older family photos, it's impossible to tell which of the children he is, each of the 2 looking almost identical to the other than in size. In one picture, the pair have their arms wrapped around each other's shoulders as their parents hug each other, smiling at their children from the distance. It looks like it was taken in a water park. Each of the family in swimsuits with a fake blue sky above their heads. The duotards in childhood were a mix of the 2 parents' features, simple and classic. The whole house was a throwback to a long-gone era.
Legatus, may I ask what this is about?
The father of the house, Park Ji-hun, has opened the double doors on the other side of the room and revealed a dining room where he seems to have been sitting with his son. They were expecting guests. Kid went crying to his dad when it got too real.
Ferrum might have been mixed up in something dangerous at school,
I say, hearing the distorted voice echo around the room. Ferrum glances at his dad, shaking a little in response.
He's already told me.
I tilt my head to the side slightly at the father's nonchalance.
This Ovid kid, did you arrest him yet?
Ferrum's father moves back into the dining room, placing a hand on his son's shoulder. The pair look at each other for a moment of reassurance, then back at me. The faceless figure standing in front of their dining room. He told him the end of the story, at least. Shame he left out his part in it. It's odd seeing Park Ji-hun beside his son. His duotard presents him as a simple businessman. Slicked black hair, a lithe frame, even the wrinkles and laughter lines that so few people wear proudly. Clothed in a white shirt, black tie hanging slightly loosely at his neck, and with perfectly pressed slacks, the pair looked like they come from different worlds.
Corvus, and no, actually.
I pull up a chair and take a seat across from the pair. Ji-hun drags a chair from another corner to seat himself right next to his son.
That kid isn't dangerous, but there's something going around the school that is.
Father and son look at each other again, then turn to me, eyes narrowed in confusion. Even with such different duotards, the movements and facial expressions bear resemblance.
Have you heard about the suicides at Pegasus Academy?
I ask simply. Father scrunches up his face in confusion. That's co-fusion. You see what happens? Our son tenses up, both shaking their heads in denial. Ferrum wasn't a good liar.
4 kids committed suicide there just recently. I'll cut to the close. Ferrum, why does every kid in the school shun and bully one kid at the same time? Is this some sort of neural network virus? Visual manipulation of the duoverse? Something new?
The farther I go, the more upset Park Ji-hun becomes, and finally he slams the table with his hand.
My boy would never get mixed up in something so heinous,
he protests, staring me down from the other end of the table.
Why don't you talk to the Corvo kid? He threatened Ferrum just today. Tell him, Ferrum!
Ferrum is shaking his left leg under the table and looking off into the distance behind me, too afraid to stare into the dark figure who knows more than he expected. I don't know what you mean, sir, he finally splutters out. If there's a bully, it's definitely that new kid. He doxed me and threatened my family and friends. I sigh in aggravation, half wishing I could reveal my appearance. But if this is a dead end, then the investigation would be ruined. Instead, I spend the next 2 minutes cycling through my own memory bank and producing a video clip of the classroom, while Park Ji-hoon's request for me to leave becomes less polite. When I'm done producing the video clips, the space around the three of us transforms into the classroom at lunchtime.
Everything is recorded in classrooms, Park Ferrum. For your safety, of course.
The clip of students laughing at Kevin plays. Once that part is over, I pause it and make my way over to the recorded copy of Ferrum and his friends enjoying the aftermath.
It looks like your boy is the ringleader for whatever is going on in the classroom,
I say, one arm pointing out their glee. Father looks to son again, expression very different this time. His hand is tied into a fist on the dining room table, knuckles strained white to the bursting point. Dad, it isn't what it looks like, Ferrum pleads, less afraid of me than he is his father. It's nothing dangerous, just a visual mod we made. Father relaxes, the tension flooding out of his body in an instant. Son is still searching his face for some sign of the next move. Do what you will, Legatus. He just confessed. Dad! No! Ferrum grabs his father's sleeve with both hands, shaking it as he screams. Don't block me! I'm your son! It's not what you think, I'm sorry! Ferrum collapses off the chair, head resting on his father's lap. His pleas are literally falling on deaf ears.
You blocked him?
I ask for confirmation. Best way to punish a child I've found, he responds nonchalantly as his son continues tapping his leg and trying to speak to him. A few weeks blocked by the family makes them fall in line every time. In the father's eyes, his son no longer exists. He can feel his tears wetting his slacks and hand pulling at him for attention. But all he sees is a whited out figure with no sound coming out of it. My own eyesight shows that Park Ferrum has stopped pleading, now simply breaking down into a sobbing mess as his father tears away his leg and marches out of the dining room, saying only, I'll see you out when your business is done, to me. I sit in silence for a few minutes, expecting the sobbing to fall silent. But after 5, even I'm feeling uncomfortable.
Kid, it's gonna be fine. If it's really only a visual mod, then you'll barely get a slap on the wrist.
Park Ferrum turns to me, looking directly into my formless face as if he just remembered I was there. It's just a mod, he repeats, continuing to cry immediately after. Everyone installs it. We all do. It only takes over your eyes for a minute in time. I feel like this will take another hour at this rate, so I cut in while Ferrum catches his breath.
Can you just send the file to me?
His head nods frantically like a bobblehead doll, and a file share request comes in. Please tell him, sir. My dad. It's not what he thinks. It's no big deal. I do my best to ignore Ferrum, browsing through the code carefully. I'm not the best at coding, but even I could have come up with the simple commands and 3D images within the file. Just like Ferrum said, it was a simple visual mod. It took over the view of the user's eyes and replaced the entire view with blank white space and text commands in HUD. Other than the kids had programmed... options that the kids had programmed in included having the users all point and laugh with a timer, telling them to spam a user with fixed messages, comment things on their socials, etc. Put simply, it let the whole school act as a targeted harassment group. But since all the messages were coming from individuals who otherwise behaved independently, the abuse system didn't flag it. And it was so basic the Legion hadn't caught it at all.
4 people died.
I say calmly.
You really think that's no big deal?
I didn't kill anyone, Ferrum says, eyes wide as he stares at me. Just tell Dad, please. I just can't be blocked. I stare cautiously at Park Ferrum, the hulking teenager down on his knees in penance. Blinking twice, the room around me fades and I'm left in a gloomy, hazy imitation of the last. The table and chairs are all still here, as well as the walls and doors. Everything is grey plastic, barely visible between the lack of light or air filtration. Park Ferrum is half the size of his duotar, dark hair and matching eyes, scrawny child wearing a white vest and shorts that hang off of him. His eyes are singed red from crying, and the spots on his arms and face where the tears have fallen reveal clear, tan skin, otherwise coated in the filth that circulates in the air.
Is being blocked by your dad so bad?
I ask, genuinely curious.
It isn't just my dad,
he pleads. His real voice is higher pitched, hoarse, whether from crying or whether he still hasn't fully healed from having his filtration device adjusted. Children with such implants had to have them worked on every few months as they grew.
The parental settings, he could block me for everyone other than the teachers in the Legion.
Well, damn. That is its own personal form of hell. If no one could see or hear him, he was essentially locked away from the world. He wouldn't be able to stream either, since Gladius requires communication between players. It basically is prison, but while watching the real world go by all around you. I seem to remember the Republic testing such a punishment as a way of preventing criminals from reoffending. A quick search of my eyes while Ferrum continues to whine brings me up the study. It was abandoned as a form of punishment after only 2 years. While short-term uses helped deter certain criminals from reoffending, it led to others becoming more antisocial and aggressive. In long-term uses, it always led to violence, whether against others or self-inflicted. Sorry, I'm standing up. Or self-inflicted. Now they mark it as a handy way to punish your own children. Lily and Susie won't be able to do anything bad if the whole world sees them as a white, soundless void, only getting in the way.
This actually seems like the perfect punishment for you.
Ferrum instantly falls silent, olive skin paling as his wide eyes tremor.
This duo mod you made, it acts in a similar way to parental settings. Was that why you made it? To inflict the same kind of punishment on others that you receive at home?
Park Ferrum is staring right at me, wide eyes slowly narrowing as the final drops of water spill out of them. It's a little embarrassing to see his tiny body tense up as he stands and flexes, so I do him the courtesy of blinking back into the duoverse. Sure enough, the bulky video game character standing in front of me looks much more intimidating. His face is narrowed into blades, all of which are sharpened and ready to strike. I didn't do anything wrong. If they couldn't handle a little teasing, then they couldn't survive in this world. Do you know how much hate I receive every day as a Gladius player? Messages, memes, threats. They criticize my every move for no reason other than it being fun. None of that's anything compared to being blocked. Those kids have no idea what real pain is. I let the kid finish his monologue before I nod in confirmation and stand, ready to take my leave.
Well, don't worry. Your punishment won't be the parental blocking, Ferrum.
Ha! He relaxes a little, the anger on his face giving way to confusion.
That's just your dad's punishment. Actively abusing other children in your class, guiding other kids to take part in targeted harassment, lying directly to a Legatus. By the time you finish community service, you'll be due for conscription. I'm sure your parents will have unblocked you 4 years from now.
I touch 2 fingers to the side of my neck and the report has been filed with the Legion. Ferrum's eyes unfocus as they find the message that has just taken over his eyesight. The Arbiters waste no time in deliberation, taking a Legatus' report and deciding the sentence instantly. Park Ferrum, report to Legion HQ within 1 hour to begin your community service. If you are not present at the allotted time, your sentence will be extended. If you attempt to flee, your punishment will become more severe. Have a lovely day.
Don't worry, kid. By the time the Legion is done with you, you'll be a man. All of this will feel like child's play, I promise.
I make sure to close the double doors leading to the dining room on my way out. I can't stand the sobbing coming out of the kid who believes he did nothing wrong. As I'm heading through the living room, the picture on the mantle catches my eye once more. Something is different from the last time I saw it. The Park family is still all joy, the literal picture of domestic bliss. Now, however, there's only one child in the picture. The larger child with his arm held out to the side, wrapped around a brother who no longer exists in the household. Not even a white human-shaped void is left where Park Ferrum once beamed with childlike glee into the camera. Humans don't like seeing things that remind them of bad memories. If it doesn't spark joy, out it goes. I blink my eyes and return to dismal reality. In it, there's nothing around the mantel at all. No TV or trophies, let alone family photos. The whole room is a dark box with those large bay windows blocked by metal shutters to keep the radiation out. All of the furniture in the room is grey, devoid of any colors, all made of plastic and felt. When the Parks decide to change it up, they'll simply return the set to the store who will sell it on, customized however the next family would like it to appear. When they're done living here, they'll take the few physical items they have and leave it for the next occupant. If they've left any sign of their time here, it will only end up as a repair fee on the final rent payment.
Legatus, are you on your way out?
I return once more to the duoverse before turning to face Park Ji-hoon at the doorway.
Yes, sorry.
I reply hastily.
Your house is so lovely. I was a little lost in all the furnishings.
He smiles at that. The same expression of smug pride I'd seen on Park Ferrum at the school.
Costs a fortune, but we have a good DV plan. I could get you our agent's number if you're interested.
Oh no. I'm sure my salary wouldn't be nearly enough. It's just a pleasure to see someone with a taste for the classics.
Ji-hoon chuckles at that, taking a seat in one of the recliners.
I hope you get some form of commission on all those fines you or legati administer.
He presses a button to the side of the chair and leans back into a half-laying position, the TV flashing to life as he searches for classical music with his eyes.
Sorry about that. I don't sentence the punishment, I only...
File the reports, I know. The arbiter's a wise and fair jury. Ferrum's savings covered most of it. That boy was such a good Gladius player.
Park Ji-hoon sounds sad as he talks about his son in the past tense, shaking his head slightly as he does, perhaps just disappointed. Do I apologize for his loss? I can still hear the brat sobbing in the dining room. I'm trying to find some way to say goodbye without coming across as rude when he continues.
It's all right. We'll get through this together. That's what family is for.
I finally take my leave. Less than half an hour away from home and my legadio is complete before sundown. This calls for gin. And lots of it. Oh yeah, we saved some things. Bleep bleep, I'm a sheep. Bleep bleep bleep, I'm a sheep.
What do you think of that one? That one was a bit longer. The characters were a bit more realistic. They're still not fully fleshed out. I've had to be rushing a lot of this. I really wanted to get something ready for the first week. This is like what I'm hoping to do for a lot of my content. It'll only be every couple of weeks, but yeah, hopefully the next ones will be a lot more fleshed out. Park Ferrum definitely could have had like more build up, but I felt like it was dragging on a bit already. It's like a 45 to 50 minute reading session for that one. But thank you guys for joining me. Yeah, it was amazing. That was great. Please upload it online. I definitely will. Like I said, I'm going to wait like 3 days. And if anybody wants to share any artwork, any other kind of fan creation, go ahead. Use the hashtag Legatus505 and we will dive into that. We're not completely done just yet. We're not completely done just yet because I saw somebody in chat pointing out that there is indeed... There we go. This file right here. Which, you know, nice and easy to open. Nice and easy to open. You guys want to read this one, or do you guys want to be done for the day? Oh, and we can get rid of that warning. We don't have any warnings for this one. Oh, who? Yeah, we're not reading chapter 3 or 4. Those are for a different day. But you want to read this? Let's read. Let's read. Okay. Let's go with Interim 1. Interim 1 seems more interesting to me. Huh. Fuck, it's password protected. Legion? Incorrect. Fuck. You guys have any idea what the password might be? Password protected. Do you remember? I don't remember setting a password on this. I don't know what's up. Is it okay to show? It should be okay to show. Legatus? I could try Legatus. Legatus. No, that's not it either. Any idea? 505. I think 505 is too short. 505 is probably too short. Professor Corvid. Try Professor Corvid. I wonder if we'll get locked out of this if we do this too many times. Ah, shit. That's not right either. Professor Carnus. That was it. Professor Carnus. Ah. Oh, shit. Okay. You guys got it. How did you get that? What the fuck? Okay. I guess I'll go back to... Yeah. Other voice. Okay. Interim 1. Why did you kill the imprint? A deep, hearty voice asks as I continue scribbling down on the notebook. We should change the music for this. This is more chill. Chat is very smart. I don't know where you guys got that from. Well played. Well played. Kill it. I just broke the hard drive. I respond nonchalantly, eyes focused on the task. The low hum of a computer's fans and the scratching of a fountain pen on paper were the only sound for several moments in the tiny room. But it hadn't done anything wrong. Couldn't you have just talked to it and calmed it down? Powered it down gently? I chuckle, set the pen down within the book, and close it over. It's an imprint, Carnus. What's the difference between shutting it down and breaking the hard drive? Either way, it's gone, and not suffering in a twisted form anymore. Professor Carnus is staring into my eyes impassively. His short, brown hairline blends with his sideburns and beard seamlessly. Those golden eyes, framed by a tangled mess of wavy brown locks, burn gently like a distant star. His thin lips are barely visible within the mess of a beard. There's a hint of emotion there, but I can't quite register it. Not anger, not disappointment. What would you have me do? Shut it down and then take it to some farm outside the city? I thought you were a big boy. He doesn't respond to my mocking, simply holds my gaze for a long enough time that I return to my notebook. That's how you'd handle every imprint. A chill runs down my spine and I freeze mid-word. Better than letting them suffer, wouldn't you say? Their property they're not property! His booming voice echoes back through the room. I turn to face him, finding a twisted snarl in place of the usual mocking grin. I shut it down, I bring it in. What happens? It gets filed away as evidence, waiting for the next apocalypse to wipe us all out. We may romanticize it as some form of going to sleep, but what if it's actually purgatory? Would you condemn a human mind to eternal existence as a paperweight? His expression softens as he leans against the wall, fingers tapping out a listless rhythm. Familiar. Comfortable. I've never asked what it is. Doesn't have to be like this. It is like this. You're the one with the ears of the Praetores. Whine about computer programs to them. He reaches out to the petals of a red plant hanging above the desk, but stops at the last second. He can feel the tension in the air as his fingertips hover, inches from the plant. If I had knuckles, they'd be white from the tension. My own cold grey eyes have drawn taut like a bowstring. The hand comes down in a methodical movement, the tension falling along with it. I sigh gently and return to the notebook. This is your new place. It's smaller than the last one. His eyes move from fixture to fixture, taking each one in but giving no clear opinion. How did you manage to get flowers? Hunting imprints. His eyes narrow, but I continue without shame. A lot of wealthy people run into issues with them. They're the ones with the billion-dollar sex toys and armies of security made up for them. It pays well. Blood money. Code money. I correct. Wire money, component money. They aren't human. You of all people should know that. Shame. Unlike me, he can actually feel it. They do a decent job of training that out of the Legion and eradicate it completely in the Auxilia. Sympathy. That I can feel. Back to the notebook. What kind of punishment did the boy end up with? Professor Carnus asks. I don't turn to him, mumbling without thinking. The usual for an underage offense. Early conscription. He should be close to being a citizen by now. Hope it taught him something. The sound of silence fills the room again. The fans of the computer spin harder and fill the dead air. Something must have just started an automatic update. You've only been in Legatus for 2 years. Carnus states this as a fact, but there's a definite questioning tone. What's your point? I do the job better than most. I have a 98% solve rate. Kid's still a while from becoming a citizen then. I turn to face the professor, sighing and letting my head fall to the side. Clearly, you don't remember the training period. Or maybe you're so old it was different back then. We consider each other citizens if we survive the first year. After that, it's all a legal matter. He nods, making a sound as he considers this. You still think it wasn't enough of a punishment for him? Ha. I think back on the Legatio and can't understand what he means. When did I say he didn't get enough of a punishment? You almost dropped him down an elevator shaft, kid. You mentioned some pretentious crap about judge, jury, and executioner and how the Republic deals with crimes against imprints. Oh. That's a simple misunderstanding. I guess I'm a better Legatus than a writer. I yawn, stretch, and take a large gulp of water from the table before continuing. Professor Carnus waits in perfect silence, unamused with my dramatics. I continue, a little less animated. The kid deserves to be punished. What he and his friends did was disgusting. The Legion will sort him out or break him trying. The real criminal is the girl. The imprint. The real girl. Copied her own consciousness. Put it out there into the world. Turns out she did sell the original code on to be hacked and forget it was an imprint. What was her punishment? The professor couldn't hold back his anticipation, leaning forward as he asked. Nothing. Nothing? Nothing. I let it hang in the air for a moment, the bait drawing Carnus out of his comfort zone. Just tell me already, it's not a puzzle without all the pieces, you little shit. He's chuckling a little, but trying to hold it back. It's so rare that I actually know something that he doesn't. Even rarer that he actually gives a damn. The girl became a woman. The woman became a corpse. She died more than a decade ago. Retired well in a large mansion, one of those ones that's its own building. She received a large sum in her early 20s for modeling, apparently. Invested it well and never had to work again. The professor's face tightens. That expression I can read easily. You're disappointed? Wanted something with a little more closure? Life rarely has closure. I'm disappointed in the character, not the story. Why is my sound on? 1 second. Sorry, that's so embarrassing. There we go. The tapping on the wall returns. He's thinking too much. Towards the end, she donated most of her money to charities that help women escape abusive situations. The tapping ceases instantly. But again, the computer fans pick up, even more than the last time. There's your final piece of the puzzle, though the only person who can even solve it is gone now. He stays silent, eyes unfocused as he thinks about the story. It's not that he hasn't put it together yet. Far too smart for that. He's going on some tangent. I go back to writing in my book, the comfortable sounds of the fan spinning and pen scratching setting me at ease. When he speaks again, it's much more quiet than before. That mountain of a man finding himself more of a mound. You think that imprints are inherently bad? Nothing is inherently bad, I respond instantly. then pause, considering my next words carefully. It depends on how you use the technology, and that you know how to separate an imprint from the original. The silence that follows weighs on both of us for too long, and I find myself continuing without thought. I once heard a martyrist describe them as ghosts trapped in limbo by the evil megacities. I'm sure you'd agree that's a stupid analogy. I see them more as echoes, a reflection of the original that is almost the same but not quite. They deteriorate with time and eventually need to be shut down for their own good. I should be getting home to Philly. Sadness. I hit a nerve. Not like I didn't aim directly for it, to be fair. Sure you don't want a drink? I found that whiskey you like. The old one you said used to be cheap. It's not like she won't wait up. Good night, kid. He turns to leave and I bid him farewell, the hint of a smile on my lips. As soon as he's gone, the smile fades. The fans whirling in the computer finally calm themselves down and return to base with him. Back to the story. And that be that. I don't think you guys want to go through the glossary. That might not be as fun. Swamp Man vibes. Oh, I'm seeing some very interesting chat questions. And no, I'm not going to answer them. Show it. Okay, we can show the glossary. Get you a feel for what this world's going to be about. So it should be Professor Carnus. Okay. Glossary. The Republic, a megacity with a population of 39 million. One of 3 megacities constructed along the equator centuries ago by a group of like-minded people who chose accelerationism and self-preservation as the future for humanity. The city is divided into Central Republic, Greater Republic, and the outskirts, with the more wealthy and powerful congregating closer to the center. Duoverse, the augmented reality that most citizens of the Republic see, either using visual implants or hardware that alters their vision. In recent years, it also allows users to hear, smell, and taste, with only feeling remaining unaltered. Imprint, a digital copy of a human's consciousness, essentially an AI version of a person with all the chemical and biological processes replicated artificially. An imprint is seemingly identical in thoughts and actions to the original it was copied from at the time it was copied. Eyes, pronounced eyes. Artificial eyes that are implanted into a person's head. Artificial nerves connect this hardware to the user's brain to view the Duoverse 24/7 and also allow easy access to manipulation of the other senses, taste, smell, and hearing. Hey, I see that LCL, our mod, just caught one of the things. Division 505, baby. Duotar, a user's avatar in the Duoverse that most citizens of the Republic consider their true form. Wealthy consumers pay huge sums to the best artists to commission their Duotar and customize it with unique features. Unitar, a person's true form outside of the Duoverse. It's considered a violation of privacy in the Republic to see someone's Unitar without asking permission. But I do it anyway. It's fun. Uni, term to refer to the original person from which an imprint was copied. Legati, upper ranks of the Legion. Legati are the equivalent of detectives in a police force. They're given individual assignments that they need to investigate and deal with at their own discretion. Legati, herd the flock. Pulse and Shimmer, a self-explanatory description for the visual effect that users see when looking at the Duoverse, considered a feature rather than a necessity at this point. Eyes interface messaging. 2 eyes users with sensory connectivity can share messages with one another instantly while just thinking thoughts or sharing data. Think of it as augmented reality Discord with 4 of the 5 senses. Neural network, personal storage space which can be stored internally on the eyes, throw 2, and any other synapse, or externally in cloud storage. But as you can imagine, that can lead to problems. Praetores. A praetor is an elected official that oversees aspects of the Republic. The Legion is led by Praetor Chroma, but there are praetors who oversee justice, defense, education, treasury, trade, transport, sport, technology, media, etc. Together they make up the magistratus, who report to the Arbiter Senate. Arbiter Senate. an archive of every praetor who has ever held office in imprint form. The imprints are taken in the middle of their 4-year terms and updated if a praetor is selected for another term. The senators retire at their own discretion. Together, the Senate debates and votes on laws and judicial outcomes. Legionary, lower ranks of the Legion, basically the police force. Auxilia, special forces of the Legion. These soldiers are trained to engage serious threats within the Republic as well as handling the threats outside her borders. Doomers, term used to refer to humanity before the rise of megacities and dramatic environmental shift. Named as such because they were slowly heading towards doom, refusing to shift course, yet ever aware and uncaring about it. Throw 2, an imprint in the throat that allows citizens of the Republic to breathe the heavily polluted environment. It filters almost all of the pollutants and is able to be disguised as a choker or necklace on a duotar. TB suit, total body suit, the least expensive and most uncomfortable way to survive the Earth's environment, similar to a hazmat suit that covers the whole body. Some don't even have screens or sensors to interact with the duoverse. Mirari Industries created the duoverse and still manage it despite it being an integral part of Republic life. While they didn't create eyes, they now own the rights since they took over the company that did develop them to assist those with vision lost. Mirari, this is your world. Eidolon Incorporated created the technology for imprints. Originally, the technology was going to be used to preserve the best and brightest. To secure more funding, they offered the opportunity for wealthy people to create their own imprints right before the fall. Now the technology is used in countless ways. Have close connections to Mirari and the Republic. Eidolon, I'm worth it. The Kingdom, another of the 3 megacities founded by Doomers. They're founded on a feudal system in which the lower class serve the upper class. This megacity only has 14 million citizens, yet has a lot more land. Commune, another of the 3 megacities founded by Doomers. They were founded as a meritocracy. Every citizen has the same education and is raised by the state collectively. At age 12, they're given an extensive exam that covers physical, mental, and intellectual ability, and based off of it, they're guided into a job that would suit them best, and provided living quarters and a partner. Biodomes. There are several of these communities of various sizes all over the world. In general, they're small populations that have survived either by building a shelter against the sun and pollution or finding lucky areas such as cave systems that have allowed them to survive. The 3 megacities do their best to monitor them and occasionally establish trade with them. Before the fall, history is recorded before the megacities were formed and the rest of Earth was polluted to the point that life couldn't survive. People from then are referred to as Doomers. After the fall, the current time, years is counted forward from the fall to the current time of 317 ATF. I think that's where we'll cut it for now. We might come back to that at some point in the future, but I think that's quite enough. So, how we doing? How we doing, everybody? I'm back. Fulgur Ovid here. Maz on board. Thank you guys for getting rid of that. Yeah, I saw that right at the end. It kind of made me giggle, I'm not gonna lie. Well, thank you for getting rid of the spam. That was amazing. That was good. When's the next time? I don't know when the next time will be. I do have 2 more chapters ready to go, but I think I'm gonna like take a couple of weeks before we continue going through it. When did you write all this? Over the last like month or 2? I had to write something for Voxy. Voxy needed me to have a story if I was going to be his enemy. Yeah, like I said at the beginning of the stream, my writing is not great. My grammar is terrible. And these first 2 chapters were very rushed, which is why it probably will be like every 2 to 3 weeks for the next one. And I will say the next part of the ARG won't, like, don't be bothering looking for it now. Good job on finding the first clue. People, I mean, that one kind of beat you over the head with it. There's going to be much more subtle clues in the future, but I can tell you that they won't be out until we update the blog 3 days from now, when we like update it on the blog site. Love this ARG. This is so good. Thank you. We live and we learn, right? I'm looking forward to the upload. Thank you. Yeah, and it will be nice letting you guys read them all in the future and like go through them properly rather than having to continuously go through the stream. Have a chance to look through it and like think about things. I was surprised how much people were noticing. Like, there were a lot of people like pointing out the references, which I get, because like the references I kind of beat you over the head with as well. I'm not a particularly good writer. The metaphors are pretty blunt, but yeah, there was a lot of like good, interesting ideas going on. I saw, especially when we were reading the other one, the ones that were password protected, that people were guessing some interesting ideas. We have a blog site. Yeah, Legatus 505. It's on the YouTube page. It's also all around the place. Yeah, it's like up in the thing. It's advertised on the thing. Yeah, I'll definitely link it in 3 days when I update with the 2 new chapters. Love the details in this so much. Thank you. Can we translate it to another language? Of course you can. I would be very happy with that. I would be very happy, like, if you read it and you like it and you want to share it with people from other places. That would be great. Tycall. Love it, and I'm working on a title for the blog. Thank you so much. Yo, that's incredible. Thank you. Thank you to all our detect sheeps in chat. Yeah, no, seriously. Oh, you guys have gotten some really cool ideas already. I'm not gonna lie. Me and the rest of Noctyx were sitting there like pre-debut when we were dropping like little hints of our lore. We were laughing our asses off because everybody thought that our lore was all connected. Like, their lore tends to be pretty simple. It's nice, it's cute, and it will like work into their characters a little bit. But yeah, my one is separate from theirs. We just kind of all link together in the modern time. So yeah, they will appear in things in the future, but in general, like, my past isn't connected to their past at all. And these stories are all about the past. Thank you so much. I'm a little lore freak if you haven't seen my Twitter. Thank you. Yours is so complex. I do what I can. I do what I can. I had a lot of fun watching it. You're honestly amazing at writing. You have a way with words. Your stories have a way of drawing us in. Thank you so much. I like your works. Thank you. The Nijisanji multiverse. Yeah, and that's the thing. Now that you know like the general idea of the world, feel free to like do fan fiction about that as well. And feel free to do fan fiction of us like in current time. Now that you know me, Fulgur Ovid, the archivist, you know the rest of Noctyx, you know how we interact with each other. That'd be fucking awesome. Noctyx Cinematic Universe, that's so funny. I can't believe I get to read and listen to all of this for free. Yeah, I mean, I was heavily inspired by a couple of different things. I've talked about the Magnus archives. Like, I always fall asleep either listening to the Magnus archives or just creepypastas in general. So I have a lot of fun like listening to those, and I was like, I want to do something like that with a VTuber. I'm not so good at the ARG, but people have been looking into some detailed things, which is just like, no, that's not part of it. Shit, that should have been part of it. Fuck, I'm an idiot. Are we ever going to create that lore wiki? I'm not. You guys can if you want. I'm just going to have the blog. I love creepypastas. They're great, man. They're great. You did great. Thank you. Just pretend like it was intentional. Exactly. Do it for him. We don't say that word. My brothers don't shut up about Magnus Archives, so I was surprised to see you like it. It's great. It's great. It's also very British. Like, if you grew up in Britain and you recognize all of the places they talk about and you're like, oh, I've been there, yo. Places that never get talked about too. Do you have any experience with interactive fiction / if games? Not particularly. I said it before. I mainly watch other people like run down the clues, which is why mine are going to be very simple. The next one will be a lot harder than the first one, but the next one, like I said, won't be coming out until we update the blog. I've got an idea for what it's got to be. We'll see if people like find the clues as easily. People got the Morse code immediately because obviously it was like super called attention to. Oh man. Published when? In like 3 to 4 days. I'm not giving it an exact time. It could straight up be next week. For all I know. I'm hoping to do it in 3 or 4 days. I'm waiting for like some artwork to come in if anybody wants to share their artwork and have it shared on the blog. If not, that's cool too. It's just to give people time and so that I can do a couple of things in the background. As you heard while I was reading that, there was a bunch of times I laughed and was like, that's not right. Something's wrong here. So I had to change things. And I have to cut out the routes you guys didn't go down. Will you show alternate routes on memberships? No. I'm sorry, like that. They kind of like affect things a little bit. So like showing the alternate routes would be kind of messing things up. Sorry. The stream was so engaging and fun, different than any other stream I've ever seen. Thank you. Yeah, it's something a bit different. I don't think it's as interactive or as intensive, as cool as like Vox's ASMR like dating streams. or like Pomu going to court. Things like that are pretty fucking badass. But I'm just trying to do something my own way with the few skills that I actually have. The basic skills. Post on Wattpad? No Wattpad. Blog. Terrible old blogspot blog. Rip fuckboy Vulgar. Yeah, fuckboy Vulgar's gone. This is way better than ASMR. Oh, you're so sweet. Nah, seriously, I've said it before. I'm really impressed by the things that other Nijisanji members do. They're so fucking impressive. Fuckboy Fulgur gone forever. Yeah, you'll never hear the voice he was going to have. You'll never see how much more cringe that was. I mean, both were cringe in their own way. Oh, man. Okay, before we go, I am going to read these super chats because, like, I've got time and I want to. And thus I will. It might take a minute for me to get to them. So yeah, if anybody wants to leave now, this is the end of the story. I'm just going to be reading super chats, responding to them, and talking. And thank you all for being here. I was surprised how many people we had, considering it was super early in the morning and this is the first one, and it's a pretty weird style of content. Like, I wasn't sure if anybody would give a shit about whatsoever, which is fair. But yeah, thank you for showing up. Kalam. Story, voice acting, and effects are all so good. Fuchan, you're so talented writing story. Thank you so much. Thank you for the food funds. Den, thank you so much for the food funds. No message. Miranda Chow, really love your voice and music. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. See Ava, a nice story. Love your voice. Thank you. Alpha Ketchy, your voice is really good. I like it. Thank you so much. Tewu, your world building is breathtaking, Fuchan. You're a great writer. You're breathtaking. Shit, I haven't programmed in the Uno reverse card yet. I programmed in the sheep, but I don't have the Uno reverse card yet. But you imagine it right now. You're breathtaking. Light. Like the commentary on relevant social issues. Yeah, I kind of just slid that in because it's like, you kind of have to do that with Cyberpunk. You kind of have to look at like what's happening in the current age and like, how bad could it get? The idea of imprints is something I'm just going to explore in a bunch of different ways because I like it. I like the idea of it being like connected to parasocial relationships and how we get attached to people even though they're not really people the way we see them. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun to explore the theme of. Grandma Danny, thank you so much for the super chat. Sparrow Splat. Feel like going on a ride on an empathy box. Just following the flow. This is amazing. Thank you for the food funds. And also, nice reference to the empathy box. The empathy box in Blade Runner, well, not Blade Runner, to Android's Dream of Robot Sheep was a really fucking cool idea. I love that idea. It's so creepy. If you don't know what the empathy box is, it's in the novel that Blade Runner is based off of, Do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. They basically plug themselves into a little box that makes them feel pain and makes them feel like they're a martyr trying to do good things while everybody's attacking them. And then they feel good about themselves, even though they're doing nothing in the real world. They feel that pain, they come out of the simulation and they're like, yeah, I'm such a good person. I did so good in that empathy box. 812 Flames. This was super good. I'd love to see a full Cyberpunk 2020 campaign of all 4 chapters. Yo. I do not have the power to DM, but thank you. Thank you for the food funds. Spaghettification. Read in Victor voice. Amazing. I don't know which Victor you mean, to be fair. There's a lot of Victors out there. Thank you for the food funds. Ice. You're the second VTuber I super chat. No wonder you know medulla oblongata. Fuchan Pog. That was honestly just a guess. I honestly didn't know where the medulla oblongata was. I just like saying the phrase medulla oblongata. The fact that it was at like the base stem of the brain is incredible. Neat. Thank you so much for the food funds. Cowabunga. Hell yeah. God, that's an old school reference. Coward in a half shell. I don't think anyone would get that. Oh man. Ming, I really enjoyed the story so much. It was great. Thank you for the wonderful stream. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for the food funds. Akira Lux, your world building is so pog. You are pog. Thank you for the food funds. Sardonyx, you're so creative. I definitely need to listen to this when I'm not half asleep. I feel that. Time zones are weird, man. No matter what I do, somebody's always like, oh God, I'm just going to sleep. Or, oh no, that's going to be at 4 a.m. I can't make that one. It's painful. But thank you for the food funds. Pandora, I love this lore. The storytelling makes me feel like I'm being flung back into the world of The Expanse. Yo, The Expanse is incredible. I've only read Leviathan Wakes so far, but I've watched the entire show. I'm looking forward to playing the Telltale game. Thank you for the food funds. Vehementius. This is so interesting, Fuchan. Thank you for sharing. I'm definitely going to look forward to more and come back to this one. Thank you so much. Kimi. Thank you for the food funds. I can read those, Hiragana. Makara. I like the story so far. I'm excited to hear / see more of it. Thank you so much. Aka. The history is so cool and interesting. I love your voice acting and the way you create a mood. And yeah. Susanlix. I'm in love with this. Okay. Thank you for the food funds. Lily-chan. Nice voice. Thank you. Roku. Ooh, I think you'd be great at writing TTRPGs. This is something that I've said. I would be happy to like help do a background story and help like maybe flesh out some NPCs like a basic level. It's just the word, you know, surprising, doing things as they come, being spontaneous, you know what I mean? That thing. Rez is really good at it. I'm not really good at it. I freeze up. If one of my characters is like, I want to go for a swim in the pond, I'll be like, yeah, you swim in the pond. Roll me a d20 to see if you drown, bitch. Like, I won't be able to think of like a proper description just on the fly. It takes me ages to like do descriptions. It is yes. I'm so going to translate this. It's so interesting. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. Good luck with it. It's a lot of writing. Not much of it great, but thank you so much. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for the food funds. Mooncake 1030, thank you so much for the food funds. Miranda Chow. Listen, your voice, let me feel cry. The emotion in my heart sounds good. Can't even understand the full novel. I still love your expressing story. Thank you for today's show, Taskaru. Thank you so much, Miranda Chow. And that's a huge super chat. Thank you so much for the food funds. Emily, you're so talented. Thank you. Yushi, love your vocal performance. I hope I can buy your original novel someday. Yeah, I don't think I'm actually going to get it published. Like, don't get me wrong. We're going to write a lot. We're going to have a lot of fun streams. I don't think anybody's going to be interested in actually publishing. But thank you for the donation of the food funds. You know what would be great as a merchandise thing, though? Just like a little notepad. Just like a notebook that just says like Legatus 505 and has like the sheep on it. That'd be cute. Chinese name I can't read. I'm sorry. Thank you for donating the food funds. Fun you and Alia Tira without any messages. Thank you for the donos. Yes. I'm so going to translate this again. Thank you. Good luck. Like I said, God, it's a lot. I'm really sorry. Good luck. Thank you so much. Sahai, listening to you while working, really great so far. I'd love to see more of your story in the future. Your voice is also really pleasant to listen to. I thought people hated the Legatus voice. Honestly, I thought people hated it and were never going to be into it. So that's really sweet. Thank you so much. I'm just moving my thing around in case any Nijisanji members come in. Actually have to see their messages. Yikes. I hope I didn't miss any. But thank you so much. There we go. Oh, Tewu again. Thank you so much. Your world building is breathtaking. Oh, wait, we got that. Did I scroll up? I scrolled up accidentally. Back down we go. There we go. From Pudding. Let's go. Thank you so much. From Kaeru. It's just a sweet little Shiba Inu emote. Thank you so much. Sparrow Splat. That brain in a jar twist is so good. I'm hooked. Yeah, I liked that. I worked hard on trying to make it not obvious, but like giving slight hints. Like I talk about the idea of like a grinding sound and the sound of like dragging flesh. But then I also, like, I did my best to make it not so obvious whether it was man or machine. Like if you go back and read it in the future, hopefully that comes across. I'm not sure if the first time like people were saying, oh, Dana sus. Dana was sus. But not in the way you might have thought. Dana was a poor tragic character, a lost soul betrayed by the original. Really sad, really sucky for her. But yeah, she was sus in a different way. Moroso Yuki, thank you for sharing your story with us. No problem. Thank you for enjoying it. I hope, yeah, you had a good time. Jesse, thank you so much for the super chat and the cute little emoji. Jennifer, I love this so much. I love the references. I'm such a nerd, but this is great. Published book in the future. If they'll publish it, who knows? Maybe we'll do self-publishing through Nijisanji. I honestly don't think it's good enough. I said that during the debut as Legatus. As Legatus being like, yeah, I'm going to write this book and it's going to be great. My grammar is atrocious. I would definitely need like a straight up editor and somebody to flesh out the characters. That first chapter really annoys me with the kid not having much of a personality. The second chapter where it's like, Park Ferrum has a personality as a child of abuse who basically acted out a similar but different form of abuse on other people and considered them weak because he figures his abuse was worse. That's interesting. It would definitely need to be extended quite a bit. Like, that needs a bit more of a slow burn. I just really... It was getting to that point where it was like, this is a super long chapter. This is going to be like a whole fucking stream by itself. So I had to wrap it up. I could have done better with that, unfortunately. Maybe we'll, like, flesh it out later. That's the thing. If there was actually any kind of interest in a publishing thing, I would legitimately, like, hire an editor and go back over everything. Mouse, Fuchan, thank you so much for sharing your work with us. The sheep pile loves you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Jennifer, yeah, okay. And yeah, I'm glad that so many people got so many of the references. I didn't know about the spider thread one. I didn't know if anybody was going to get the spider thread one. A lot of them are very obvious. That one, it still kind of beats you over the head with it, but it's like a pretty niche. It's pretty well known in Japan. I think it's definitely less well known in the West. I mainly found out of that because of Zelda Skyward Sword. Like, somebody pointed out they have that scene about the spider thread, which I thought was cool. I can't read this Chinese name. I'm sorry. Thank you for the donation to the food fund. Thank you so much for the dodo. Ella, so good. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Tish, Fulgur, part-time writer, voice actor, and beta reader. You guys are all the beta readers. I'm sorry for that. Ditar, to get a drink after the case. Oh, thank you so much for the donation to the Gin Fund. Cock, currently working at work now, so I can't watch, but still want to support. Thank you so much. No, Sins of the Turtle. Yeah, the turtle was a problem. Thank you for the dono. Bouncy Bow Ball for Beat Drop. Yo, thank you for the dono. Oh, God, I'm so glad people enjoy the music. We only have 6 tracks. We haven't used all of them yet. Yeah, they don't have as much as emotion as I would like. I might have to get a few more done because I tried to get them all done in cyberpunk style, which of course kind of limits, like, very electronic. I'm probably going to get like a couple of like piano ones that are a bit softer and a bit more emotional. Tish again, ready for my bedtime story. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. Oshio again, the sheep emoji. Thank you so much for the dono. Thank you for donating the food funds. Oh, and there we go. That's from yesterday. So now I'll just read through this bunch that are coming through currently. And then I'll check out chat for a bit and then we'll head off. Seriously, thank you all for being here. This has been a blast. I wasn't sure how many people would turn up. Of the people that turned up, I wasn't sure how many would just instantly disappear. Yao. Sorry, I can't read that properly. Fuchan Otsukare, thank you for your story time. No problem. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the food funds. Now, this is first super chat. I loved your story and voice acting. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yun, thank you for the amazing story. It's really amazing. Can't wait for the next one. Thank you. Dansu, today is so great. Tasukaru, thank you. No, thank you for being here. I'm glad you enjoyed it. White, it was really cool. Looking forward to other story time. Otsukare. Thank you so much. I'm glad you were here for it. Saku. Nah, your Legatus voice is great. The important thing is to not strain your voice. I've worked with lots of VA. You got to protect it. Warm tea and honey. Yeah, I drink a lot of warm tea with honey and lemon. Green tea. Thank you. Thank you for the dono to the food funds. Nori, Fuchan's world building and Legatus' voice are always amazing and calming. I'll listen to this every night for sleep until the next story stream. Thank you so much, Nori. Yorli, so great. I love your voice and your novels and your acting. I'm so surprised at your idea. Thank you. Definitely a weird one. It could go into very interesting ways. Like, that's another thing. If you feel like taking the idea of like an imprint, a digital copy of a human, like essentially treated as property, which is where the main problems come from. If you feel like just writing fan fiction about that, go ahead. Write yourself into this world. Write an interesting scenario for yourself. It's not very complicated one. It's not like I'm the first person to think of that kind of thing. I just have a lot of interesting basic ideas that I want to like try and work out from that. Yeah, two more already done. A couple more like ideas just kind of floating in my head. We'll see if any of them work out pretty good. Rin, cannot listen to this for free, so I super chat. Nice story. Thank you so much. That's too sweet. Mr. Spitbucket. Wow. Wow, that name. Hi, Fulgur. No, I'm sorry. I don't do that. I don't say things for money. I'm sorry. The weirdest thing is, if I just happen to catch it in chat and somebody happens to say it's their birthday, I'll probably wish them happy birthday. I probably won't have a problem with that. I'm not inviting that. I'm just saying, if you specifically say to me, can you say X? I have to put my foot down because everybody will start doing it. And especially not for money. I don't want people to be thinking, oh, if I give him money, he'll say the thing. So I'm sorry. Ehuran. Thank you so much for the dodo. Lily-chan, good night. See you tomorrow. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for joining us. Okay. Oh, no. A couple more. Doctor, I can't read the rest. Thank you for the dodo. Late on stream. Ah, but you read that the rich commission artists in the world, the artists on the world are thriving. We'll try to draw art for this. Thank you. I can't wait to see it. I hope you have a good time. Thank you so much for the dono. Umika, you told us to love ourselves and you should as well. Your voice and story are literally amazing. Deeply thank you. Love the thing you provided and you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the donation to the food fund. You're too sweet. Mimilop, I was so immersed with your storytelling and thoroughly enjoyed it. Looking forward to more, Futan. Thank you so much. Asmin C, I want to make art for this really bad. But the lore is so heavy that I need to restudy your story. I love it though. Enjoyed the writing so much. Can't wait for your next one. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, if you get just like basic ideas, it might be fine. I'm very interested to see how many people like recognize the general idea of Legatus's like health problems. Rudy, thank you for the wondering story. I enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next part. Just wondering if you're familiar with Dogs, Bullet and Carnage. I haven't actually heard of that, no. Is it an anime? Is it a game? Either way. Thank you for the food fund. Does the sheep have a name? Yeah, the sheep's name is Bleep Bleep the censorship. Oh, this one. You mean the white one? Oh, shit. No, the white one actually doesn't have a name. It's just a cute little one that somebody made me, and lovely little asset. I thought that was a good way to separate like Legatus and Archivist Fulgur Ovid. It's so cute. It's so adorable. I love having it there. But no, that one doesn't actually have a name. The black one with the censorship bar and the big horns and like the red arms is Bleep Bleep the censorship. Thank you for so much for today's stream. The prose was great and the world building was chef's kiss. Can't wait for the next one. Take care. Thank you so much, Chris Y. And Asha Kaneshiro. Thank you so much for the food funds. Can we get a statement of Fulgur Ovid, sir? I don't know what that means. Sorry, Chair Kind. Thank you for the food funds. I love what you've written, Futan. You did well. Thank you so much. Yugo Asima's wife. Oh, you love to see it. That's such a cute name. Fee-Far-Fum. Thank you, Futan, for introducing us to the world of Legatus. I enjoyed every second of this stream. Thank you so much. I'm glad you did. Yoko Kaneshiro. You're so good. I love you. Thank you so much for the food funds and the sweet message. I think that's everything. Oh, this is one. Enor Marie. God, your writing is so immersive. If you ever plan on turning this into a graphic novel, your artist confidants are ready. A graphic novel would be way too hard. It's like painful enough to me that I'm like, hey, if you draw some scenes, I'll like put it on the blog. A graphic novel would be way too much. Don't even worry about that. Tsukibi, thanks for telling us your story and trusting us. You have indeed a heart. P.S. Your drink awaits you in my cafe. Grab the asset if you like. Oh, thank you. Are you the one who did the red one with like the Legatus symbol around it? That was really cool. Thank you for the food funds. I haven't grabbed it yet because I don't actually have a desk to put it at. A lot of VTubers have a desk in front of them. Meanwhile, not me, unfortunately. Yes, your story is so amazing, and yes, the TMA vibes. Oh, I'm glad that came through a little bit. I wish I could write like the way that they perform, it sounds perfectly like natural speech. I wish I could do that. Yeah, they're really good. Claudia, the voice acting is amazing. I can listen to you read all day. Story is promising, and I love the background music. It really sets the mood, makes the story more engaging. Thank you for this, Fuchan. Thank you for the dono. I'm glad you enjoyed it. As long as you guys enjoyed it, that's all that matters. Miratrice, your effort in writing absolutely shines through. As a long-time fantasy reader, you sucked me into a sci-fi world. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Seraphim, thanks for sharing your world building with us. As a DM, I particularly enjoy the lore and glossary that you put your blood, sweat, and tears into. Yeah, I'm kind of sorry about the glossary. Sharing that was kind of like, this is probably getting a bit boring for everyone. But yeah, you guys asked for it. And good job on finding the password. You guys remembered that real well. Thank you for the food fans. Sapir. I overslept a bit, so I came in late. It sounds so genuinely cool. You're working so hard with something so unique. Gives me more art ideas. Cool. I hope you enjoy it. Keep going on and having fun. Kalam. Story, voice acting, and effects are also good. Uchan, you're so talented at writing stories. Thank you so much for the food funds. The names. So many names. So many names. Den. Oh, sweet. That's the blank one. We got that one. Thank you for donating to the food funds. Yeah, okay. I'm going to refresh this one more time. I'm going to ask you guys not to make any more donos, but I'm just going to say I'm not going to be reading anyone's after I've just refreshed. So, yeah, they'll be read at a future date if you keep them coming. Which you got this. Insert figure puns and mo. Oh, that's so great. Oh, God. You love it. You love to see this sad comedy. Stephanie Inc. My English isn't that good to catch up in the stream, so I'll definitely read it again. With the part which I can understand, I think the story's so interesting. Look forward to the next. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed. Nino Nana? Sleep with Fuchan streaming. Taskaru. Otsukare-sama. Thank you. I hope I didn't wake you up when we got to like the screaming, jumping out of bed parts. Sorry. But thank you for the food funds. Payulio. Love your charming creation so much and enjoy your voice action. I can't wait to see the next part. Thank you. Ato. Thank you for the story time. Can't wait for the next chapter. Otsukare Fuchan. Good night. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. Adohide. Thank you for sharing your story. I really enjoyed it. Your voice is suited for an audiobook. Also, you can use Grammarly to proof check. Grammarly. That would have been useful. Thank you for the food funds. Sally's Court. Store. Love your work and voice acting. Can't wait for next chapter. Thanks for the power. Wonderful. Streaming, Fuchan. And the sheep plushie is so cute. I love it. They did a really good job on it. The links to that asset is in the description as well. Incredible art. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for the food funds. Yuki. I enjoy the story time a lot. Thank you for sharing. I love your voice. Thank you so much for the food funds and the sweet message. Lynn, thank you for sharing the story. Thank you for being here. Sugar Mommy Girl. Were this a fiction site, this would be the point where I bookmark and sub for future updates. Yo, throwing us on the AO3 list, on the Wattpad follow. Let's go. Momomo, you're amazing. I know that says Aini Jayo. Thank you so much. Add oil. Yes, Jayo. Thank you for the dono. Mint. Love all the dedication and effort you put into this. I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything. The lore is so intriguing. I can't wait for more. Thank you for doing this. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I can't read this name. I'm really sorry. Thank you for your creation. Although I can't fully read it, so much writing is really amazing. I'll review it again. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it when you do. Thank you for joining us for the read-through. Sadie, thank you so much for the dono. Love the story. Can't wait for the next one. Awesome. Hopefully we'll be back soon. Yoyao, Fuchan Otsukare, thanks for the story time. No problem. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you for the dono. Okay, I think that's everything. Yeah. Okay, we did read these ones before. Okay, so we got through all of those super chats. And any ones that you sent after that point, we'll catch up to in the future. I'm going to talk to you guys for just a tiny bit here because I don't want to just read paid messages. I want to be able to see some of you guys' comments and be able to bounce it out. So yeah, hit me with it. How are you guys all doing? And feel free to say if you didn't particularly enjoy it. You're fine with that. Stop giving artists art ideas. I can't keep up. I mean, there was a lot of art ideas in this one. Fuchan, please put the white sheep. I actually can't in this one. 1 second. I'll do a thing. I have to be on the other one. Well, I'm going to minimize this too. Wapa. Sheep. Turn off display. Oh, it's already off. Okay, sweet. We safe. There you go. Sheepy sheep. Poll for the sheep name. I mean, do you guys have names for the sheep? For the white sheep for this one? Sheep cute. This is made by my Fuchan. Yeah, let me go down in the... I'll actually link that in the chat myself in case anybody doesn't want to. It's made by Peppermint Bark. Wait, did I mess that up? I think it's Peppermint Bark. Please tell me I didn't get the wrong link. No, I got the right link. Okay. Is that, oh god, that scared the shit out of me. It was like, oh please tell me I did not link the wrong link in the actual stream. Here you go. if anybody wants it. In fact, I'll pin that because we don't need the things anymore. Replace pinned message. Fudan sheep or Saibu sheep? God. Fudan sheep. Fudan sheep's really fucking cute, man. Okay. People have the two options of Fudan sheep and Saibu sheep. We'll go with that. Fudan sheep. Oh, that's an M. Saiba sheep. Okay. Ask your computer. Ed Sheeran. God. We're not doing an Ed Sheeran reference. They were saying Ed Sheeran. Yeah, that feels off. It's not even a redhead. Ed Sheeran should be a redhead. Shiro. Oh, Shiro's so cute, actually. But I really do like Fudan sheep. I'm glad that instantly took the list. Shiro, no. Shiro was a great idea. Don't get me wrong. I just woke up. I had the stream running in the background by misclick too. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Fu, at least with that Fu. Shiro the Fudan sheep. Oh, that's a combination. Because he's innocent. One in a landslide. Yeah, people really like that one. That one's really smart. I didn't even think of a name for him. Did I even come up with Bleep Bleep, or was that somebody else during Cyberpunk? Either way, it was really funny. No, from Cyber Sheep to Cyber Sheep. Yeah, I was gonna go with Cybar. I thought you guys were saying Cybar, like the sheep name. Will you tell the lore of Fulgur the Archivist? Someday. I said I'll make a lore video someday. But you can read, like I said, some of Legatus's things. You'll realize, oh, I mean, this thing is exactly the same as the Archivist. They look like the exact same person. Maybe they went through some of the same experiences. Everybody writes from their own memories. Everybody has to have somewhere it comes from. Such genius confidants. Yeah, they are. Debut 3.0? Pretty much. Pretty much. Oh, Shiro the Fudan sheep. Okay, so we're going with Shiro the Fudan sheep. You guys want to extend it to that? In fact, I'll make that the final one. Do you just want Fudan sheep? Or do you want Shiro the Fudan sheep? Create a poll. Shiro or just Fudan sheep? Ask your community. Do your vote. You decide. Cyber Sheep's Outlaw? Yeah. Cyber Sheep got absolutely destroyed by Fudan sheep. Shiro is adorable. Shiro the Fudan sheep. Is it Shiro or Shiro? I like Shiro with two E's. That feels more cute. Like, it's not proper Japanese, but it just feels more cute. Both could work. Censorship is kind of genius. Yeah. Bleep bleep the censorship. That's pretty funny. I want to get an option so that when I press that button and it like does the bleep noise, I want to try and set it up so that bleep, the little amazing PNG that somebody gave me, would like pop up basically in front of my head and just be like, you son of a, and there's the like sheep. That would be great. Sounds so hard. It would definitely be hard. That would take like a lot of like multi-action keys and timing, but we'll see. It goes Blair instead. That's fucking cute, man. Instead of a bleep, censor us with a bar. I can't change the censorship sound, unfortunately. I'm working on certain hardware. But I like the idea of him making an actual bleep, because I mean, that's his job. He was not a real sheep. He was well, no, he was a cyborg sheep. He's had his voice box changed. You see the little bella at his throat. It's actually just a throw too as well, so he can change his voice. Bleep bleep. Could you bar? I definitely could. You're really cute, Fuchan. I'm gonna die. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for joining us. Yeah, it looks like it's Shiro. It looks like we're going with Shiro. Shiro the Fudan sheep. Yeah, the nice innocent one. Cute boy. May I have a sheep Fufu channel holding? No, he's mine. Somebody keeps stealing my sheep. This one's mine. Maybe call him... Nah. Shiro bleep. The censor sound should be a Vocaloid saying bar. That'd be pretty funny. I don't have that kind of skill. Like I said, I can't change the sound. We're robbing the sheep. Try it. Come at me. You really want to steal my sheep? I don't think you can. Steals your wig and your sheep? Damn. The double insult. You love to see it. No. No. Food shot on the rob list. I've been on the rob list since yesterday. This is fine. I shouldn't have posted my done May collection. Oh man, will you be acting like the Archivist or like Legatus during the collab later today? Oh, like the Archivist. The only person I'm going to act like Legatus around is Vox Akuma. Yeah, you can't know. Gaslight. Gatekeep. Girl boss. L plus ratio plus steals your sheep. No! Never talk to me or my sheep again. That's so fucking cute. Make an official plush. Oh, I'd love to have an official plush of this sheep. I'd love to have an official plush of this sensor sheep, because somebody else pointed out with the tail the way it is, it looks like it could also be a phone charger, and I fucking love that idea. You're just laying down in bed with your plushie that also happens to be a phone charger. That'd be amazing. You already heard your Nord voice on stream though? Yeah, but he thinks it's just a voice, so it's fine. Maybe he's just lying to himself. Maybe he'll let us get away with a lot. Maybe he's just like, you know what? It's fine. This is fun to me. And he'll just let us get away with it. That sounds like a fire hazard. Well, no, because it would only be the like plastic part of the tail that would be a charger. It wouldn't be like the electronics would be all throughout the plushie part. That would be a definite hazard. Well, I mean, people have electric blankets, but again, like even they have to like turn themselves off after 8 hours. I love Shiro. Yeah, I might as well end that. Shiro won very slightly on that one. But yeah, we'll keep that. We'll keep Shiro, the dance sheep. That's cute. Oh, man. Oh, God, that meme with, oh, yes, my girlfriend did her 2-meter body pillow. But it's Uki, Fulgur, and sheep plush. No! Oh, man. Thanks for the story. I got a little inspiration from you. Now I have the confidence for joining the fiction competition. Yo, good luck. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you do well. I'm sure you'll write better than me. Kill it. Absolutely kill it out there. I believe in you. Mobile charger. That's fucking cute, man. Are you kidding me? Oh, God. Mobile charger. Plugging it in would look like sheep homicide. No, it wouldn't. The tail looks fine. It's just the tail. It's not like you're like stabbing his leg in or something. Oh, man. I started quoting how dare and love to see it nowadays. How dare. How dare. Oh, no. That shouldn't catch on. That's terrible. Confidants have big brain. Yeah, they do. Kit Kat. Always so creative. Yeah, you guys have great names. Multifunction sheep. Exactly. Where would you stab it then? I mean, it's the tail. The tail kind of like... You guys need to check out the design. The tail kind of is detached from the body. It's attached by a string. It would be fine. You just plug that little bit of the tail into the phone. It doesn't even look like a tail. It looks like the thing I have at my waist, which you cannot know what... Well, I said that, didn't I? I said it was a net jack in the story. You just don't know what a net jack is yet. Fun. The white sheep should be a portable backpack. Oh, yeah. Just filled with snacks and books. Ah, comfy, comfy, comfy. With that said, this is where we're going to end this stream. How long did we go for? It was only probably like 3 hours, right? Yeah, 2:47. Holy shit. You love to see it. It's just a lot of voice acting. Oh, sorry about that feedback. These headphones suck. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you had a good time. I certainly did. This was a blast. We're going to be back at 9 p.m. EST, not on my channel, but if you follow any of the other Noctyx boys, we are going to be doing a joint collab playing Ready or Not, which is a game where you kick down doors and capture criminals and try to stop them from hurting you and hurting other people, and hopefully try not to kill them either. You try to take them like carefully if they don't resist you too much. We'll see how that goes. It's probably going to be painful. It probably ain't going to work out. But thank you so much. We'll be heading out. I am going to like turn this music up to something a bit more intense. But I am glad you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, don't be led astray, my confidants. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to our wonderful new mods. We hired a lot of new mods and they're doing amazing work. Am I echoing? I'm not. Weird. Have a good night, guys.